Hello, everybody. Hope you are doing well. Welcome to another episode of Chai with Rai. Happy Thursday. This is episode 25 to be exact of Chai with Rai. And thank you so much for tuning in to my show. Hi, my name is Rai. Welcome to the show where I have a tremendous amount of guests who some of I know in the industry and whom I don't through the Instagram sphere or through share observation in life. I have somehow found them and we have them on and we talk all things life, entertainment, politics, history, everything, you name it. We just discuss all of that. Make sure if you want to check out any of the episodes, you can do so. Oh my god, my hair's a mess today, by the way. You can check out any of the previous episodes on my IGTV, any of the previous 24, well, including this 25 episodes. Go out and check them out. I save them after every single live. And yeah, you can do that. But let's get on with the show today. We have none other than the incredible and beautiful and talented Ishita. Ishita is a dancer whose work I came across a couple of years ago through the power of Instagram. Hi Ishita, hi Michael. And I've really found a profound meaning because I've always been interested in the US space, especially when it comes to South Asian dancers and artists, and I kind of fell in love with Ishita's work and her usage of dimensions and her usage of just knowledge, sheer knowledge that she put into her work. So I'm just going to do a little intro on you, Ishita, and we'll get you started. For those of you who do not know, this is a little bit about Ishita. Ishita, I hope I get everything right. Do forgive me for mispronunciation. Ishita is a Bengali American choreographer, director, dancer based in New Jersey in the States. She owns a dance company called IMGE Dance, specializing in Bharatanatyam, Chow, hip hop, and contemporary. She is the disciple of Sri Ralesh Sai Babu, student of SMT Sudhu. You're gonna have to correct me on this. Sudhu Divo Lapali at Kalanjali School of Dance. She has had solo credits including works with Preeti Vasudevan, Josh Rhodes, Sumit Nagdev, and so much more. She's done music videos for Ravesh Momin and Saleka. I think you're gonna have to tell me how that is pronounced. She's been featured in Pulse magazine in the UK, Dance Infirm, Paragraph, her image works, Seattle International Dance Festival, that's one they've performed at. You can also check this out on YouTube. I saw the entire 30-minute piece. It was really, really beautiful. Gala Ghora Arts Festival, World of Dance, New Victory Theatre, Lincoln Center Out of Door, Divas for Democracy. Her short film, A Prayer, was awarded Best Experimental Film at the White Unicorn International Film Festival, Best Cinematic Treatment at the After Movies Film Festival, and there's so many more credits. You just gotta check out Ishita on IMGE Dance. So, but without further ado, let's get Ishita in here. Let's do this. Make sure you guys have your cha ready if you haven't already. Hello! How many
That was
things?
an incredible intro. So
See let's wait before we get into this. Firstly, it's great to see you. How are you?
It's a funny question.
Yeah,
but
okay.
Life is moving.
Yeah.
And I have a lot to be grateful for.
Okay.
And
cool.
That's how I feel in this present moment.
Well, whilst I just quickly write down what is happening and pin this situation, you look very beautiful, by the way. I feel like you have come dressed for the occasion. And
well, I kind of feel your hair situation right now, I'm not gonna lie, but
I mean, this is a perm. Like, I got it for a project.
Ooh.
Yeah. I got it for a project here in UK about 2 years ago, and then I just decided to keep it. And
well, you're killing it. I love your aesthetic. So
thank you.
Rock on.
Thank you.
It's also so nice to meet you.
Lovely to meet you. I've wanted to meet you, and there's a couple of other South Asian dancers that we'll get into that I'm hassling down to be just meet, talk, and we'll get into that. But before we do anything, we're going to play a little game. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm so ready.
This is your introduction. I did not create this game. I'm a massive fan of Ellen DeGeneres. She plays this game, which is called 5 Second Rule.
Oh my God. Okay.
And you basically have to name three things. I'll give you scenarios, but you have to name it in 5 seconds. As I don't have the budget that Ellen does, obviously, I'll just use the power of my hands.
Okay. And I have a great imagination, so.
There we go. There we go. By the way, I saw one of your interviews recently where you had a Starbucks cup, and I don't know why I thought you were going to bring up a Starbucks cup today as well.
I did an interview with Starbucks. Oh, I did, and I'm so embarrassed. I'm not really into Starbucks, so let's just.
I thought you were like promoting Starbucks, so like.
Not a Starbucks bit here.
Okay. All right, 5 second rule, Ishita. Let's do this. Your first thing. Name 3 different ways of saying. Are you ready? You're like zoned in. I'm hungry.
Name 3 different ways of saying. I'm gonna keep it. Oh, wait. Can you explain the rules one more time? I'm so confused.
I'll say basically name 3 ways of saying hello. Okay? And you have 5 seconds to name 3 ways of saying hello.
Okay.
Oh, God. Okay, one more time. I'll give you the same question again.
Okay. You can tell I haven't played a game in like a year and a half, okay?
What, you guys don't play games in Image? Like, that is the whole basis of a company. You have to play games.
I don't play, like, I don't even have, like, I never had phone games. I never, like, I know, so.
Okay, wait, we're gonna get into that. All right, wait. Okay, so let's go back to the first question. I'll give you that again. Name 3 different ways of saying, I am hungry.
Amar kide peche. Oh, I can't think right now. Don't talk to me.
Wait, what was the first one? I'm assuming that's in Bengali.
I just said it in Bengali. Amar kide peche.
Amar kide peche.
Yeah, like kide is hunger. So.
Okay, I'm gonna write that down. I like to learn I'm hungry in every language.
Yeah, you use that one a lot, so.
I'm here for that. 3 things you do as soon as you wake up.
Groan, go back to sleep, and look at my phone.
That was a good one. Okay, this is a bit of a weird one, but I'll explain it to you. So, you're out in like a club. Imagine COVID, life has progressed. We're up in the club. We're lit. We're like all of that. Do kids still say we're lit or not really? I don't know.
My brother's like in that. He's like, bruh, and stuff. So.
Okay, so we're lit in the club. Okay, we're like living it up, and there's some peeps, okay, that are like giving you that vibe, and you're like feeling them and you're testing them out. And now I need 3 signals from you, okay? If it goes the other way, to a friend to get me out, like get me out of the situation. Come on. All right, ready? And go. Wait, how many was that? Was it the same thing?
That was 3 in that one thing. It's like, okay, ready? My friends know, okay? It's like a slight eye widening is like a, okay? And then there's like a gentle, like I'll be like, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then like a little like, then I'll give like a little squint moment. I'm very like say a lot of things without saying a lot of words.
it's the Shringar in you. It's the Bharatnatyam stuff that we have.
It's really the Bharatnatyam. So there's 3 very subtle facial expressions in that one. The real ones, no.
I was gonna change that to 3 mudras, but I was like, I feel like that would be too.
No, it's really in the eyes though. The eyes.
It's all in the eyes
more than the mudras do.
Okay, cool. Last 2. 3 Instagram accounts you can never scroll past.
Rob Bynes, Sangsta, and
Did you say myself?
I said myself because
you have to scroll through your last one. Okay, you have to do an impersonation here. Okay. We both have a love for this person, and hopefully you can do this.
I have to do an impersonation?
Yeah, imagine you are this person, okay? 3 things MIA would say to a cashier at TJ Maxx. Go.
So like, fuck the caste system.
You do know I was going to say do Raja Kumari, and I feel like everybody does like, my third eye with the bindi.
Oh, I probably wouldn't have been. Yeah. We just like said a few lines of her raps.
Well, hello. how are you? Was that nice?
That was, I feel like I should play more games.
You should life. Hey, you gotta. That's what you have to do. You gotta as soon as you get into rehearsals, do a game. Sometimes it can just be
Yeah.
too intense.
Yeah. I hear ya. I'm like, say jokes and stuff, but
There you go.
let me get some Angry Bird or some shit,
There you go. I'm all about all dad jokes. Dad jokes are the
Dad
way.
joke, yeah, that's where we're at for sure right now.
Dad jokes. So, how are you? How is life? What did you have for breakfast? How comes you're wearing eyeshadow? Like, what is the special occasion?
No, I think like these days when I wake
Yeah.
up, I have to do okay, no, number one is I have to do eyeliner and my eyebrows. Like if I don't do those two things, like I'm not human.
Did you go through the pencil thin eyebrows by any chance?
I just passed that. Like I was just old enough to not do that. I did pluck my own eyebrows on my own. But I actually don't think I did that terrible. Like I never went too skinny because a lot of my older cousins like went way too skinny, and I was like, let me learn from their horrible mistakes. Yeah.
At least you didn't bleach them. Lots of people also bleach them as well.
No, I always liked I started filling in my eyebrows before anyone did.
I'm the original. Fuck off, Cara Delevingne.
No, I'm just kidding. Well, like before, the Kardashians or whatever, like the filling in the eyebrows thing became like really big. Like I
feel like Cara Delevingne popped that off.
Yeah, sorry, that's
I feel like she put it on the map in terms of big eyebrows again.
Yeah, which I'm grateful.
Yeah,
because I'm into it.
Okay, and then how has your day been? How's your week been? What did you have for breakfast?
Today I had oat milk.
Okay, just on its own?
Just on its own. It depends on the day. I'm not like a very routine person,
Okay, yeah.
Other than the eyebrows. That's the routine.
And the groaning and then going back to bed.
The groaning and then kind of like going back and forth. Those are all very routine. Other than that, we don't have a strict routine here. But it's, things have been cooking lately. It's been a little bit more creativity in the air. I don't know how it is over there, but things kind of are relaxing a little bit over here.
Same. Yeah.
In Jersey, it's like I think like we hit the 70% vaccinated kind of.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
So things kind of feel like there's an air to it now. So a lot of the creative projects going. So a little bit, it's moving again.
So does this mean the enigma of Krishna is back in?
Oh, you really did some research over here.
Listen, I go out.
You have the Starbucks cup, not one.
I have notes. I have pages.
Okay.
I have videos. I have everything. I research, man. I research on every one of them.
Wow. Okay. Well, in love already. Oh my God, enigma. Yeah. So actually, I don't know. I feel like I that particular project might change form.
Okay.
A lot of rumination meditation has happened in the last year in general. What kind of work I want to make and how I approach work. So that one was an idea that was conceptualized right before the pandemic.
Okay.
So yeah, I think I'm in the mythology world specifically. I want to be more critical and nuanced than I have before. I think it's not just like taking another spin on existing stories, like how can we analyze what the context is today and how meaning has passed, through the different tellings. It's it's a little murkier, especially I have a weird relationship with the idea of Krishna. I kind of don't like how a lot of stories of Krishna have influenced our society or, ways of growing up.
Yeah.
So
I think you talk about that in that specific interview. You talked about the fact that how female gods are depicted, and Durga Ma is the only one who's considered to be of that sort of caliber, if I'm using that word correctly. In that sort of gives the boys the same horsepower as the other female gods still have that fragility in them. In their storylines, in their narratives, in their in their spirituality and their powers. So yeah, we're gonna get onto that. But
too real.
No, we're gonna get into that. I watched the half an hour performance of Seattle International.
Again, really impressed over here.
Really? What is it called again? Something. Territory. As I was watching it, I realized the similarities. I'm a massive fan of Beats Antique. Three Sisters is my jam.
No way! Yeah, like one knows that song.
I want to go to a gig of this because they're dope as hell.
Yeah,
and also you did a song from Slumdog Millionaire, Osaya, where when I graduated from in my second year of doing a dance performance, I did Osaya as well. And you did some barrel turns and things like that, where there's maneuverizing and this female dancer is doing barrel turns towards the start. And I had a projection, and I still have this image of this dancer in the back doing hand gestures and puppetry as I'm doing barrel turns and coming towards the front. And I was like, wow.
Brains, same wavelength.
Well, I just think it's like it's a connecting thread of how, sometimes we feel as South Asians or as creative people like we have like the best idea, or like nobody understands us. We're like on this effed up sort of situation. But I think it just goes to show, like, I don't know if you're a spiritual person, but kind of like cosmically, I think like work is, it speaks.
I feel like it's like when you get it, you like really get it, I feel like experiencing work, like when you meet someone of like the same wavelength, they don't have to have the same background or like be the exact same style, but when they just have like an innate understanding, and I don't know if that is a spiritual thing, because you don't always know who's gonna have it, but when like it's just like a feeling sometimes.
Agreed.
And then like they just get it. So.
Also, did you have some people who messed up your lighting in that performance? Because I feel like there's a section when there's the rain music and you're doing like beautiful movements, and I'm like, is it just because it's on film that I can't?
The lighting for Territory actually was great, but the camera, I think the camera exposures and stuff were crazy and made it look all sorts of ways. Because stage lighting is I never like posting stage performances.
You said that because you were like, what's the point of it? It's, people need to come and experience the stage.
Yeah, I still believe that. But but also the things like lighting and stuff, like you design things to be experienced in that way. I just don't think it translates on camera.
Agreed. Okay, I'll let that go then, because I was going to have beef with the festival. And I was
mostly, usually... lighting is god awful all the time, so we've got some arguments to do.
We do. We're gonna get into this, and we'll start, and we'll try and make this as organic and as quick as possible. Just if you don't know, Instagram allows us to talk for 4 hours.
4 hours?
Yeah, I have done an Instagram live which lasted 3.5 hours because we just kept talking about things. If you need to rush off and I am delaying you, literally just do this.
Listen, we're chilling right now. It's okay.
Okay, are you sure? Like,
wrap work early. We have some time to kill.
I love a good conversation, but like I also know the power of just chatting for the sake of, just like
listen,
talking.
I've been dying to meet you, so
I have been dying. Okay, so there's a group of Avengers that I want to meet, and I wanted to go to DDCON with all of you. It's you, it's Brinda, it's the two people from Project Convergence.
Vikas and Ramita.
The tap dancer and things like that. Amit, I've met him already. Mm-hmm. So I feel like he'll be just a great addition to this entire cast.
Yeah.
I'm searching for another like a Malayali dancer.
Malayali. Because
there's not a lot of Malayali dancers. There are some Malayali dancers in the UK. Mm-hmm. But I'm looking for a Malayali dancer to really connect with and kind of see that experience of it. But yeah, I'm like forming
you've already named some of my like favorite people ever.
Well, Brinda's coming next week.
Oh, heck yeah.
So I'll be interested to talk to her about just situations.
Incredible.
But yeah, you guys are part of my American Avengers team where I just want to meet you and I want to discuss like, yeah. And if DDCON ever comes back, I really want to come back and like, I want to be. Is Brian still the guy who does the organization of it?
No, I'm not that involved with DDCON per se.
Yeah.
Like we've all like come in and taught at some point, not like collectively at the same time. I don't really know because DDCON is really like a collegiate kind of situation, which I was not really a part of that growing up either. Like I wasn't. So it's an interesting like way of everyone meeting. But yeah, I have no idea where they are right now. I don't think Brian's in charge anymore, though.
Okay, well, if anybody listens to this afterwards,
I mean, we need community and organization,
that'll be great. I'll fly over. I'm already coming to New Orleans to do some work with a company. Actually, you should come with when I come to New Orleans. One of my friends, she runs a company. It's called Artivism Dance Theatre. It's she created it while she was here. And it's basically about creating work that is around political and social subjects. So we've done works on PTSD in the military. We've done like a showcase called Catcalls and Compliments, which is all about like sexism and catcalling women. And yeah, I think you should come and like teach something. All right, will do. There we go.
Look at this connection.
Look at all right, let's get this ball rolling. What is your earliest memory of dance as a medium? And you grew up with an uncle who was a choreographer, and you talk about how when you decided to go into the entertainment industry or you wanted to pursue dance and this verbal contract, which we're going to get to, and the nitty gritty of it, which I want to talk about, your parents' concerns in regards to how they supported your uncle, and they saw sort of, I would say not the greatest moments of an artist when they're striving and kind of like living on somebody's couch and can barely survive. And do you think that hindered or influenced who you are as a person today and your journey?
Mm-hmm. Okay, just like side note, it's so crazy that like a person I've never met before, like you know all this stuff, like like you're so far, insane. So okay.
It's called. I like to. The thing is, like, I said this to Amit, and I was like, I think dance in its purest form, when you see somebody, you can see who they are in the purest form, regardless of the content that they're putting out, even if it's for commercial use, which we'll get onto. And I think from that, I get intrigued to know people's story, and I like to respect people. And if I'm incorrect, and I think like, I would like to do my research, and I would expect the same if I was to get interviewed by somebody.
Yeah, so. I love that. It doesn't happen enough, but it's like such a, it's a
really?
time to do
I think Americans do a great job of interviewing. Like I've seen some pretty great ones that.
Yeah, I think once you get important enough, then people will do the research.
Yeah, like David Letterman's my next guest is. I actually found that a really great show. But yes, going back to this.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Tangents. So yeah, my uncle Shukolan Bhattacharya, so that's his name. He has a dance company called Shukolan Dance Entourage based in Kolkata, which is where my family and everything is from. His style is it's very influenced from different forms of classical as well as contemporary as well as folk styles. So like mostly rooted in Mayurbhanj Chow, Bharatanatyam, Odissi, Manipuri. So you could say, Manipuri. He was mostly like Manipuri was one of his strongest trained forms. As well as elements of like contemporary and world dances. So it was like the Indian contemporary before, that era, I was already introduced to like fusion at a very young age. So I grew up like literally born watching his dance videos. Like I would not eat unless his videos were playing.
Wow.
So at the age of 2, there is like a video somewhere of, I also simultaneously watch a lot of Barney. It was
Oh
like
my
dance
God, I used
videos
to
and
love
Barney.
Barney. I love you, you love me,
I was
we love each other
into
like a...
that hard. So I had like a
I
yellow
love a Barney.
blanket
Did you
that
actually?
I had
Wait,
a
I'm
yellow
trying to
blanket.
find something if I found it. Oh, is this part of the memory situation?
Yeah. Okay, you went in. That's a cousin Touche.
Okay.
Um,
Is this part of the showcasing situation that
all
you're
of
talking
that.
about?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So then like when I got to like 4, 5, I
Yeah.
think I was like 5 in there. I like choreographed my own dances. Like people would bring me to their weddings and I would have like I made my own stuff. Like one of my
Yeah.
classics was like Silsilahe and like Nimbura.
How old were you when Devdas came out? Oh, you're 23, 24, aren't you?
I'm 25. I had to
Oh,
think
okay.
about how old I was.
It's okay. You still got time.
Oh, God.
I'm still way ahead of you. Don't you worry.
No
Enjoy your
way.
20.
Wait,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
curious. How old are you?
I'm in my 30s, mate.
Oh, I thought you were like younger.
No. And we're also going to talk about how we're similar in the fact that we don't like to celebrate birthdays.
Oh God, no.
However, I love getting older every year. You don't, apparently, which is...
No, I do. I actually do. Like, I really like myself now more than I did a lot.
Yeah, but you said every year you set yourself goals, and it's part of that journey where if you don't reach that goal, that's the saddening part of it.
Yeah, but like I feel like the overarching growth is like a lot. Like I'm grateful for my like brain where I am now. Then like
Yes,
like I'm appreciative of growth. You know, I'm like
agreed.
just not even linear conversations are not good.
It's fine. So we were talking about your uncle. You would not
Yeah.
eat, and then you got to the age of 4 or 5 where you started choreographing your own little,
Yeah.
not little, but yes, your own dances.
Yeah, the point being like my creativity was already there. Like I was like like my mom wasn't making dances for me. Like I had routines that I would remember the moves, and like
Yeah.
I would like if someone cut me off at 5 minutes, I'd be like, "Hey, it's a 7-minute song, and I'm just gonna do the whole thing," you know?
Wow. Wow.
So I was like very confident and full of life, and like I loved dance. That was like no one was like I then started, you know, my mom put me into ballet, and then I started learning from my uncle, and then I started Bharatanatyam all around that like 4 to 5 age, and then rules came in and like discipline came in, and then I was like, wait, this is not fun anymore.
Did you have to do theory? The only thing I don't like about classical training is the fact that you have to do theory as part of the syllabus, which I think is a great tool, but sometimes can hinder somebody if they're not.
Yeah, it's one of those curriculums, which I think about the larger, like just education methods in general, that it's not tailored to different children's needs, which is hard to do, right? Because you just have a full class of kids and you don't know whether dance is going to stick with all of them. And chances are it's not going to stick with most of them. Like, you know, traveling onwards. So for me, like theory and things like that just never stuck in my brain. And honestly, they still don't. Like my brain just doesn't, like sometimes I have to review the names of mudras because I just can't remember. Like my brain, like I can see it and I can do and I can know the meaning like internally, but then like the just, you know, scientific names, you may, like those things, like I'm not, like I'm very short-term memory.
But you went to med school and you graduated and you did business.
Short-term memory does like a lot.
Okay.
You know, you like got to cram for your like biochem test tomorrow. Like I did it the day before. 2 days later, ask me a single question I don't know
Done.
to save my life.
Okay.
Yeah, not the best, but certainly got me through further than I wanted to.
Hey, got you into places. Discussing of dance, what I know you did solo showcases and you did a lot of work, and I'm assuming, what age did you do your, I always get this word wrong. Yeah.
I got you. I was
because I always end up pronouncing it as Aringritam, and I think
Yeah.
it's the ending of it, Arangetram, right?
Yeah, Arangetram.
Arangetram.
Yeah, there you go. So I did that at 15.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, the average-ish age. It's like in the US, people really try to get their Arangetram in like before college.
Really?
Like get it in. So
Is
that
it
you
like
can,
an
like, put it
initiation
on your
situation?
resume. And then apply to college, and it's like, I did my Arangetram. And then you like stop dancing after.
Yeah, but do they understand, like colleges, do they understand the fact that if it's a South Asian classical dance that you have kind of like graduated, if you put this terminology
Yeah,
there?
you would say like dance graduation, and like it's like a
Got
cultural
it.
experience. It's like people do their Arangetram because it's like it'll make me look
Cool.
different.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't love the premise of why kids do Arangetrams in this kind. Like the goals are not. I think it's not just because I genuinely like want to learn.
Yeah.
And I like want to, like a lot of people treat Arangetrams as like a finishing point. Like I've graduated and I'm done. Whereas I believe that Arangetrams are the stepping stone into the whole world of what dance can be. So I did my Arangetram at 15. And I think that was like the worst I've ever danced. Like I look at my Arangetram videos now and I'm like, oh my God.
You should put it up. I would love to see some of it. I really wanted to see, was it Ratna, your, the Kahani situation, was it? Oh my God, I've lost it. I'll bring it up in a bit.
Okay. I don't.
Oh, Rastra Katha. I really wanted to see that.
Rasa
but I only saw like a minute and a half of that trailer, and I was like,
I didn't put that up fully anywhere yet.
It's okay. I'll get that off. This is my thing. I meet people and I just get like little project gigs.
Oh my God.
I'm like, hey, can I get it? So like I get like secret projects.
Convince me to do that. I'm happy to send it to you.
Please, please, with the Vimeo code and everything.
Ooh, we can talk about it.
Okay.
So, the Rasa Kata. So basically, I did my Arangetram at like 15, and then I went through a whole dance existential like crisis.
Somebody's in my country. No one ever had their Arangetram.
Oh.
So everybody's Arangetram-less.
Arangetram-less. Yeah, I don't know. This is just my experience, and I guess even just like New Jersey, because we just have a high Indian population here. Oh my God, there's so many people I know. Hey everyone. Hey guys, thanks for joining.
Guys, we're not ignoring you. It's we're sharing the love. It's just it's very weird to interact and do it at the same time. But feel free to, if you want to, feel free to by all means.
Okay, I'm not my brain isn't that fast, so
it's okay. It's all right. So yes, Arangetram, uni, people using it.
So just like the Arangetram culture in the US, I do think it is a US specific thing actually, that the way that like Arangetrams are just kind of like a means to an end instead of just learning the art form because you really appreciate it. But then came like after that was like hip hop and me branching out into different worlds. And
is that when UFP happened?
That's correct. Shortly after I fell, basically in New Jersey, there's this like East Coast dance community, we call it. So it's like the collective community of like hip hop, both professional and community, like people who are entering. It's really like just a larger collective of a community in the New Jersey, New York kind of surrounding areas. So it's not fully collegiate. It's like a mix of collegiate and also like semi-pro. Then usually people try to run pro from there. So when I joined UFP, I had like I was fortunate to come in at a time where there was like a lot of directors that ended up going pro. So I had like pretty good training and stuff when I joined that. So that was like a huge shift from Bharatanatyam.
I don't know. I think is it weird to say? I think they both have similarities in terms of the pockets and the dimensions that they sit, because there's a groundingness and a grittiness that is required for both of them. Like the pocket that hip hop really stays into is very much here, as well as like I think when you're doing a demi-plie situation, which happens in Bharatanatyam in the first position, that I think
it is
those
also
puppets.
a grounded position. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's very like there can be a heaviness in the steps as well versus like ballet, which is very lifted, you know.
Yes.
There's this higher contrast with I think that style than Bharatanatyam versus hip hop. The differences
Agreed.
end up coming in with like, I think conceptually come in with like musicality, and then the concept of textures and the like nitty gritty of dynamic. Like they're both highly dynamic, but use dynamics in different ways.
Agreed.
But enough that I think my crossover into hip hop was a little bit more aided by my uncle's training than my pure Bharatanatyam training. If I hadn't had my uncle's like breadth of fusion, I guess like the OG kind of fusion style, it would have been harder. Just because even now, classical dancers tend to have a harder time thinking in different ways in movement. I don't know if you've seen this in your own world.
I think mine is a very interesting answer, only because like I think the classical dancers I know are very experimental in the work that they do here.
Yeah.
And there's lots of initiatives here now for classical dancers to be able to experiment. And I think with the usage of, there's a very small community of, from my personal experience, I know there's a tremendous amount of people out there, but I think in the UK, there's a small amount of community in London that transfer over from classical Indian dancers into contemporary, into like Bollywood projects. And Bollywood projects tend to box in like lots of different projects, lots of different houses and elements of things. And so that gives them that experience. And then they start going to classes, and then they start, you know, working with like contemporary companies. Like there's this classic Kathak dancer who started working with Rambeer, which is one of the premiering companies in the UK. So yeah, I think there's a lot of crossover, but I can't speak because I don't belong to the classical community.
Yeah. Well, I'll say like, I think it's more common to see classical into contemporary. Classical into hip hop is where there's like, I think a harder shift. It's like the concept of musicality that's like one of the hardest things for whatever reason. The way that music is deconstructed in like the hip hop world is very like, you know, you layer how like instruments are layered and vocals are layered, and how you can pick and choose where you come in and out of those different layers. And that concept is like harder. So it's interesting.
Even if the fact is, actually, this brings me on to two questions, even though my next question is completely different. And I asked this of people, and I asked this when I had Maven on from Akram Khan. Do you think that South Asian dancers, if they need to work in this industry and be it actors or contemporary dancers, should they have a basis of cultural dancing, be it classical or folk?
Because South Asian dancers need the background in our classical or folk?
Yeah. And then the second question is in terms of the transference of into hip hop. I think from my perspective is that the South Asian community is so kind of like music is such a big part of our community, where we don't like, most amount of people I talk to, they don't even listen to Bollywood that much. They listen to hip hop music. They listen to like Chameleon Egg, The Game, like DMX, and like Rihanna, Beyonce. Like they know more artists that are like there as opposed to South Asian dancers, you know, South Asian artists, sorry. Some of them don't even know of like a Raja Kumari or MIA.
Yeah. I see that more in India, like India dancers who are really connected with hip hop. Like there are some incredible hip hop dancers in India. Like shout out, like all of y'all.
Kings is like one of the
like there's so many people that like I want to like work with in India. In America, then coming into America, it's a little different. I find, at least, this is just like my personal observations.
Don't come for her.
Don't come for me. Like, but like in that you know, people like listen to hip hop and stuff, but in the dance community, I feel like there's a, because you're born in America, there's like an ownership of hip hop that like you can just dance hip hop without even really training and understanding it. And whereas like in India, they're like fighting for their lives to get training, and like they're trying to get all of the things. They're so hungry, and they're trying to get the real sources. Whereas here, it's like all around you, and no one even bothers. They're just like, I can just watch the video of Matt Stefanina and do it. And then already go to the and already do the, you know, whatever, like Bali hop and the fusions and stuff. But then when you watch it, you don't see the like heart because they didn't go there, you know?
Agreed.
So in that question of, you know, should dancers have, or should South Asian dancers have like our cultural dance training? I don't believe that there's only one way, you know, to go about your training. I think for all dancers, it's like good to have a base understanding of just what dance is in a larger scale. And like, you know, like when you start dancing in America, probably you start with like a ballet.
Such as you did till the age of 5.
Until the age of, but how many options there are, and I know that's like intimidating too, because it's like there's so many, I don't know what to pick. But cultural, like our classical dances are not for everyone, and I think that especially like access wise in the US, it happens to be that the highest access points are Bharatanatyam and like Kathak, and then maybe Odissi are just like the 3 ones that you have direct access to in like just because we have more gurus in those styles than any other style. I think it's important to like know what they are, but I don't know that it's required, but it's hard now. Like I know South Asian trying to be aspiring artist professionals who are like, maybe I should have done more like Indian classical dances because that would have made me stand apart a little bit more. And not get lost in this like industry. Like, you know, like the New York, LA industries are pretty brutal here, but I think I don't know if it should be an overarching requirement, but at the same time, I wish that Indian dances or Indian classical dances were just more understood and trained in. So I don't know how that would happen otherwise.
There's a word beginning with B, ending with D that needs to respect it a little bit.
You got that.
And it's a bit hard because I belong to that industry and it makes me my bread and butter sometimes, but we digress. What was your first ever job as a working dancer, paid? What was your first ever paid?
As a dancer, I was in the 8th grade. And I was working with my uncle, who also is like an international like touring like choreographer artist. So he did a guest performance on a reality dance show in Kolkata on Star Plus, and I was in which one? No.
Or Tulsi?
No. I did you know what I did? I did Boogie Woogie.
You did Boogie Woogie?
Do Boogie Woogie. Not super proud of it, but I was there at some point in my life. But yeah, I was given a good I think I was given 100 rupees.
What is that equivalent to in dollars right now?
They were like, "This will hold you over your first paid gig. Frame it."
What is the conversion rate right now of 100 rupees into dollars?
It's like $2.
Can you get stuff for $2? Can you get like a popsicle or like?
You get a pack of gum.
Okay, there you go. Sometimes you need that. You know, gotta have good breath.
Yeah.
Gotta have good breath.
Thank God for that $2.
Damn. I was very intrigued by 4 of your pieces. However, out of those 4 pieces, I was able to see more sneak peeks of only 3, and I think I sent this to you.
You're
Territory.
really making me feel the like, why aren't your pieces online situation.
No, I think this is what you should do. You should have done. I think you should have put your work up during the pandemic, and you should have charged. And whether that money went to charity, whether that went to your company, whether that went towards like production, whatever that money went to, I think people deserve to watch your work, man. even if it's a little bit, because I'll tell you why. There's not a lot of, no, I don't give a shit what I say. There's not a lot of good, substantial content out there that is knowledgeable, that is challenging, that is, I don't know. There's just not a lot. And I think throughout, from my personal research of what I found, I personally have been very much attracted to the 3 people which I mentioned, yourself, Brinda, and Project Convergence, because I think you guys are cooking up something really, really intriguing. So I think you should have. But describe to me the differences and the similarities between Territory, your World of Dance performance, which we have that in common as well. I performed in the London version of it, and Rastara Kathak.
So I think that one of the primary differences between those 3 were the audiences that they were shown to, which also dictated, I knew who those audiences were going to be as before I made them. So in order of performance, WAD was my first one, and then it was Rasta Kata, and then it was Territory is the most recent, by like 2 years actually. So my performance with WAD was one of my first really real sets. That's on YouTube.
Wait, did you just say WAD?
WAD. We say WAD here.
WAD.
I know. Actually, that sounds really disgusting.
No, doesn't WAD mean money? Like a wad of cash?
Oh no, so WAD, like World of Dance.
Yes, I understand, but it's still like a wad of cash.
Honestly, you're right.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Anyway, WAD.
WAD. This actually sounds really bad and gross. That set, we call it the green shirt set because we wore green shirts. That's like on the YouTube channel too.
You can go watch it. I watched it a couple of times already.
There.
Yeah.
It was like a medley. So that piece was like kind of in the format of what like a hip hop set might look like, in like the different excerpts of like songs strung together, because that was what I just came out of, and all of my dancers then and still were just my friends from the hip hop world here. Yeah. So like slowly kind of forming into a real collective of sorts. So that was a very kind of like, wow, kind of set that it was like, look at them and look at their different.
You got to prove yourself at WAD. You got to prove yourself at WAD.
It was a little proving yourself thing. We just showcased. We didn't compete because then and now well, especially then I was like, does this even make sense to compete? Like none of these people even know how to process what it is that this is. Like,
but doesn't it take the same thing?
Nautium technique's not correct. Like
they would have found something. They would have been like, "Oh my God, your lines! They were so good. They were so pronounced. I loved your Bollywood dancing, your Bollywood
Bollywood," and I've been like,
and then you would have just been like, "Yeah, it was really cool. Like, you know, give us the points."
Yeah, and I like don't really care about your opinion anymore. But yeah, so that was like, it was just like a pizzazz kind of set, and it still is a pizzazz set. Like we still have to bring that set back sometimes if it's like,
I think it's a dope set.
It works in a lot of different worlds where it's like kind of has an energy of being like celebratory but also like rooted, and like the nature of the songs and stuff. So that's still like I would say like a core repertoire. It's like lasted like us like 3 years now that we still like it comes back every now and then. Like everyone in like the company like knows every single piece, 5 different versions of staging for every single different piece.
Oh
they can do it with their eyes closed. Like they're on it.
The fact that they've also stayed, because you know as well as I do that company switch ups happen like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and there's a lot to say about that too, of like company culture and stuff like that. But on a single train of thought, so going back then, so that was like one of our first like real sets that people were like, oh, like who are you guys? And then I was invited from the Indian Heritage Cultural Association in New Jersey
to
create a set that this was their kind of premise of requirements that talked about social issues or justice in some form. And that was always a weird premise. I felt sometimes like asking someone to make something socially conscious. I think it's like an observation when I see people's work, whether or not like a social cause is like pasted on top of it, or whether it's like genuinely comes from the root of experience, if that makes sense.
Did you get funded for it though? That's the question, because I think it's then becomes a conversation, which is funded versus something organic.
That was like covered 2/3 of the costs of that.
So
set.
It was kind of like, partially.
It was like semi-commissioned.
Okay.
They ended up covering like most of it, but I didn't know whether or not it would. Like I ended up being able to manage funds towards like the end of it.
Got it.
But I was also pretty young. Like at that time, I was like 22 or something, and it was just like,
dear Lord, dear Lord.
No, I was like 23. I don't know, something like that. 2018. I don't know numbers anymore. But it was my first opportunity to like create a 30-minute set.
Yeah.
Or a 30-minute production. So that meant a lot that someone, you know, gave me that opportunity and trust.
This is Raster or this is Territory?
Raster Gatha. Territory then was after that.
Territory
so
was after,
Gatha in length, because you wouldn't know because I haven't put it online, is 30 minutes.
Yes, I.
Really calling me out of my shit. Also, someone asked before what my eyeliner is. I know the question, and it is NYX, NYX.
NYX, not MAC.
That person is still here, but yes.
Just want to let y'all know. It's NYX.
They're probably not.
It's shade color.
It's just blue. I don't know. Yeah,
Powerpuff,
the blue one
Rainbow, Blue Rangers from Powerpuff Rangers situation.
Coming after you. So, right. So then Rasa Gatha, so that was going to be an older Indian audience.
It was Angela Pradha.
Oh, she's here. Yes. Glad I can get you those deets, girl. The important questions. So,
wow.
So at that time, I was too young to still like fully know like what different audiences and tailoring things to different audiences meant. So I had a lot of like spoken word in between pieces that like I wrote and stuff, and had those like recorded, and they're basically Rasta means street, and Gatha is like talking. So basically, I didn't want to force any social narrative. Instead, just looked at vignettes of situations that I had come across in like my travels in my life. So it looked at 5 different sort of vignettes of situations that I've seen or been a part of in some way. In the primarily like South Asian marginalized communities around the world. And just kind of explored them through movement. So that's kind of what, it was not like a gender rights. It wasn't like,
I'm here to make a stand.
I need to say this. It was just kind of like me telling stories that I've seen.
Got it.
With the underlying message of just like, if you open your eyes and you look at, you know, streets from not exactly where you came from, you might learn a lot. You know, so that was kind of it was like a very natural, not like forced kind of thing, and it ended up going really well. So we like got a lot of like positive feedback on that, and that was like my first really exploration like of a longer kind of piece, and then kind of ruminated. Then like 2 years later, Territory came, and that was, I was invited by Seattle International Dance Festival to present some work, and I had to put together a 30-minute set in 3 weeks. And now for a very much like white contemporary abstract audience, which is very different from your like older Indian generation kind of like world, versus WAD, which is like all these like young, like
cool
kids, you know. And then so that, you know, I was getting like advice from some mentors, Sumit Nagdev in particular. I don't know if you know who he is. So he's
I do know. Is that the person who was meant to perform and backed out?
Yeah.
Okay.
At Seattle.
Yeah.
So he's like a mentor of mine. So he was advising me like kind of how to like be in this space now, because he had been in that space and was like, you know, the spoken word kind of thing like doesn't, like it works for the Indian audiences, like,
but it doesn't do
as
it
well in those audiences. I was like, oh, that makes sense. You know, so kind of like had to change how I was like thinking about construction of like larger movement pieces, because even still in 30 minutes you can't be like for the whole thing, you know. So then how to have a story and space to process those stories, but not in like a cheesy way. So like in retrospect, Rasarkatha was pretty cheesy, which is probably why most are not.
I'll let you know how it is.
Right, I'll send it to you and you let me know. So Territory was definitely a lot more mature, constrained by like time and resources, as like everything is. But it was a lot more mature, and basically that set looked at our relationship with territory, whether it's owning it, whether it's invading it, whether it's protecting it, whether it is sharing it with someone else, all these different ways of exploring our relationships to territory and where we walk.
Fascinating. I'm intrigued to know, and I think like anybody is, and I'm sure you are as well, when you look at other people's work, how their processing is. So I think what I would be intrigued to know is what your process is as a dancer versus a choreographer versus an artistic director. As well as I was really intrigued when you discussed in that podcast in regards to the digital space and also creating work for the digital space, like the 1-minute videos where you share now just like class content as opposed to conceptual pieces. And in regards to, then there was another interview I watched, which was for kids. I think you did like a situation on it. Yeah. You did Malamente in that, and you showcased India 91. And I was intrigued to know, when I found this as well, and I think I don't know if you have ever looked at like contemporary pieces, and there's a difference between contemporary, which is very much like Alvin Ailey, Graham, Grotowski, Gaga, and all of that, versus like lyrical contemporary. So when you're creating conceptual pieces, and such as when you did India, and there's this narrative in there, which is it's meant to represent ciphers as well as gods and demons. Does the music influence the narrative, or does the music come first, or the music comes after? Like, how do you complement
and battle? It's a really good question. It's a really good question, and still something that I'm battling now in a lot of ways, because being raised in the hip hop world, music always comes first. Always, like it's based off of the music, and that's kind of where my brain is still at. So I have like a list of you know, concepts and things that I am searching for music for, but then a lot of times it's also the music. I hear the music and then I literally will see a story. So it's usually one of those two. It's a lot easier in that sense to find a song and then see a story than like wait for the perfect song, which is also something that I do. So it's a mix of both of those. So India 91 was definitely listening to the song first. And also the song has a lot of history and in relation to the movie as well. But then going back to your, you know, okay, so choreographer versus director, and then the different mediums of like content there are. Because like when you're making something for Instagram, you're working with a short attention span. Like,
That's right.
no one's like, you know, in there for the long run.
But
versus,
I don't. Sorry,
yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I don't get the feeling that I think one balances those two hats as a company owner in regards to seeing profitability and using the digital space for what it is. But I don't know, you don't strike me as one of the people who's in it for the likes and the views and things like that. Like I think they're a part of a conversation, but I don't think like if you were to put a conceptual piece up and you really loved it, I think you'll be like, I want it up. It's not for the fact that if you have a short attention span, I don't give a shit about that.
But I think it's more like I usually will make something because I want to make it.
Yeah.
Then it's like, okay, I mean, I struggle with this every single time I make something. I'm like, I don't want to release this. I just want to keep it for myself. I like don't want to go through the stuff. Like now I've made something.
You want to
don't
incubate
want to let it go and like get other like it's a weird thing that I think has come through, and now we're really getting into like so I like, because coming from the Bharatanatyam world into hip hop into then like my own styles, like I just like faced a lot of criticism all the time from like people who really meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
And like that was just like very overwhelming to always have people unhappy with like what you were doing and like no one supportive ever. And so now I think like that's in the back of my head where I'm like, I don't even want to hear what anyone has to say. Just like, I like it, you know? It's like a weird little thing in the, like, I'm getting over it, but it's like I like make what I want to make, but then I also know that I have to be smart about like how can I make the most out of it after the fact, which is like so draining to do. As a creator, you really just make stuff. And it's, you know, I used to do the thing earlier on where I would make stuff because I knew that the song was maybe popular. And that's like a way that maybe you could get more people to look at you.
Yeah.
But I would know like, okay, if I'm going to do this song that I'm actually not like that into, like I'm going to make it, like I know I can make it into something that's like incredible. So that's usually not just like the views and likes thing. It's almost like a challenge of, you know,
how can you make that situation work?
But like anything on our YouTube channel is like a passion project. Like that's usually like I put in a lot of effort and like I conceptualize something like really, like I put in
the time and the effort. Yeah.
Art. And then there's like the class content kind of stuff on Instagram, which I'm like, I made this like last night, you guys. And like I kind of can know if something's gonna like cater to like people. I kind of know what the taste is and I'm like a little over it, but like
yeah.
it's a game a little bit. The Instagram one, I don't like to play it. But Yeah, it's like a balance now, finding out, okay, I know, like being a director, like the benefit of social media is getting people to know about you. It's not even like profitability. It's just like, how do I build the largest audience possible? And like, that's something you have to think about if you're looking at, you know, expanding and growing something. So it's something to think about. It's so the, you know, the Instagram stuff, I try like the little videos and stuff, like, I don't know. It's like a seed in the back of the head when you're like making stuff. Like,
I love the fact you
I
put a
make
little
stuff
video.
for Instagram. You know, I definitely like, this is for this platform versus like that platform. Like I can like breathe and I make stuff that's like, you know, feeds my soul a little bit more, you know.
How do you, I'm always intrigued to know this. I think I know a very definitive line when creating work for stage versus film versus digital platform. How would you say technically, how do you separate them and what differentiates each of them? Because obviously for screen, there's like, you know, certain moments that need to be captured. So you need to be like very vivid in those, you know, you need to be attentive. Sometimes in stage, you need to be bigger scale and use the spacing more and use dimensional knowledge more. So yeah, that in theory like that.
They're hugely different. They're like hugely different mediums. Stage, you have like I think they're different because of how you can capture and create emotion are totally different. So stage is a lot more physically spatial, right?
Yes.
And so that's like a thing that you have to think about. How do I create and break physical space in a set confinement, right? Like we're all sitting here and like watching this designated space. So now you're like where you are and how you fill the space becomes how you choreograph. So when I choreograph for stage, it's usually spatial concepts come first versus the movement itself is usually one of the last things. So I'll think about like how many dancers, where they're going to be, like what's the general staging of what the story is trying to say. And then kind of the movement comes like way after all of that.
That's so fascinating.
Yeah, I kind of have a weird process.
No, it's not weird at all. I think like that's beautiful, to be honest with you. I think everybody has their, but yeah, that's very interesting.
For generally like movement for me, I don't have to think too hard about it anymore. Like I used to get the question a lot of like, oh, how do you like fuse like Bharatanatyam or like hip hop and stuff? And I'd be like, I don't think about it. It's just
you just do it.
I just do it. So, but then camera, I think is a medium that dancers don't fully, or actually no, a lot of dancers really know how to use it really well. But it's like a skill of how to use camera really well. I think.
Yeah.
It's not just about the dance. Like me doing like a couple moves here can look completely transformed depending on how you use a camera, whether you're coming in close, whether you're
the editor can save you.
Like something can look complete trash, like just on its own. And then if you add certain like camera, like it's camera choreography, like and like you were working with someone who really knows the camera well, then it becomes something else entirely. And then the ways you can capture a lot more subtle emotion in camera better. I think that's where that like on stage you have to be a little bigger in some senses because you're thinking about how someone can see you from far away. But in camera you can really capture a lot more subtle things, which is beautiful in its own way. But it's a skill that is acquired. I'm like not perfect at it at all. It's like something I'm thinking more really about now. Like now that I'm learning, instead of, I think what I'm in a process right now where I'm trying to treat it as dance film versus just like a dance concept video.
Got it.
You know, but then Instagram and like social media, I mean, I'm like not really on Facebook, so it's really Instagram for me. Like now there's this like confinement of the square and the lengthwise, right?
No, but you have IGTV.
Right, but like if you're thinking about again, like let's say you're scrolling through a little feed or whatever,
Yeah.
Right, for like the faster content, if you may, like you're kind of confined to those.
I got it.
Okay, so let's say I made like a little I made like a class piece called Sweating. It was like one of my more recent ones.
Is that the one that was picked on by DDCON?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, wow. I'm still like, it's so weird that you know so much about me, you know? I'm like in my little room doing my stuff, and there's like this person who knows a lot about you, like about me.
Hey, it's called
I love
research.
it. No, it's like so great. Like, oh my God.
It's also, can I just say, some people get creeped out by this shit. I'm a thorough researcher.
I want to know about you. I want to ask you all the questions.
We'll talk about it. I also want to know, I'm assuming you're in your parents' basement where you do your rehearsals from, where I saw like weights or balls in the background of one of your rehearsal videos.
Oh yeah, something. There's like a bunch of, this is like
I was like, that's a cool basement.
It's done a lot for me. Very grateful.
Yeah.
But so let's say that video, right? Like I made that knowing it was going to be for Instagram. So it doesn't travel at all. It stays literally in the same spot, which is harder for me. I like to travel. I like to jump and leap in different places. Yeah. And I was like, let me try to like literally not travel at all, but still be dynamic. Yeah. And that's like, piece would look terrible on stage. Like it would look horrible.
You never know. With the right lighting, with the right with the right lighting, with the right concept of stage, and if you were able to build a stage around it, that might look like some sort of Siddhi Bay shit. Yeah, like you're right. Some next level thing.
Build something like you couldn't just like go up and just like do like it wouldn't look. I wouldn't be proud of something like that. Like I would want to create a concept.
Blackout, and a square light.
And you stage it.
And like just in this little. Create the little space, and as you're doing it, or you can have little lights moving on parts of your hand or your legs and things like that. Yeah. So the light, hello.
Okay, so I'm gonna teach it to you, and you're gonna just do it.
No. No. I'll direct and I'll stage it for you. I don't know. Dance and me have a weird relationship right now where we'll talk about that one day. But yeah.
Love it. You already created the concept for me, so.
Yeah.
But that's just like, you know, how like my brain works in some of the different worlds and mediums.
You have a passion when you create your work. And I think I said this in my email, like I really like your usage of dimensions and grittiness and the rawness in there. Like I saw it and I was like, oh my God. And then like I saw, was it Elephants and
Elephant and Hunter Saga.
Yeah, I was looking for the part 2, and only recently I found it on your partner's. Is it Derek?
Oh yeah,
Derek's page. Yeah, I was like, "Where's the second part?" It says the saga continues.
I know. That was like a very baby time.
No, it's fine. Upon doing more work on you, you said that you like creating work that challenge and evaluate the narratives of mythology. I'm intrigued to know when people have such a poignant direction in their work that they want to do, what is it that makes you want to do it? Is it from the fact that I even asked this from the dancer who I had from Akram Khan, when he was learning Bharatanatyam and he was coming up, he danced in a very feminine way, and his teacher allowed him to do some feminine pieces, and his other gurus questioned that. And you talk about the fact how you danced very masculine.
I literally went through the opposite.
Yeah. So
oh my God, sorry, it's kind of froze again. You're gonna have to say that.
Can you hear me?
Wait, say it one more time. I got you back.
Oh my God.
Here we go. Okay, say it one more time.
Fine. I'm gonna take my earphones off because this one's happened. Hold on, let me take my earphones off.
This happened to me once before where my phone decided to go off, and then people were just like,
it was the first time it happened, so you're all good.
Hey, pray to the Instagram gods that this afterwards, when I save this, please don't let the audio be effed up.
Oh, yeah.
But I would like to know where this grittiness comes from, why you have such a poignant view in this work that you want to create? And do you think it stems from your earlier training and how you moved and how you developed?
Yeah. I mean, it definitely stems from like my past, 100%.
Yeah.
I was always told that I like dance like a man at the age of like 14, 15. And I was like, I don't think that I do though. Like, okay. But it was like a weird thing to always be told something that I like didn't fully identify with, you know, and at a very like young, malleable age. So I always felt, I guess, some sort of like personal connection to like Durga roles, because she was the only female character that was allowed to have that quote quote masculinity to her.
Yeah.
So that was the one role that like I felt like became mine, you know, in a personal identifying way. Otherwise, I've really shown more in the Shiva kind of roles where I could like jump and kick and do all these crazy things. But I think in general, even aside from those things, I just always had a really hard time connecting to mythology. And I feel a lot of classical dance is really rooted in devotion.
Yes.
Everything is in its heart devotional. And that feeling of devotion, I still have not found. And I think that's why I don't consider myself a Bharatanatyam dancer now.
Yeah.
Or a Bharatanatyam artist, if you may. Because I think that there's like a root to what it means to be an excellent Bharatanatyam artist, that there's so many fantastic Bharatanatyam artists who are able to self-express through devotion. And I like just can't do that. My brain just doesn't work that way. So there's always been this like deep push and pull between Bharatanatyam. And then I went to, you know, the hip hop world, where there was a lot more freedom and dynamic movement and the concepts that I movement wise aligned with a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
And not that all hip hop is like this, but just like the hip hop that I grew into was very much like content was like buck pieces, and then like the girl and the guy, and like I'm rich, even though we're all broke college students. You know, like get money.
Get money.
And like get money. And like that's like such a gross like, you know, summarization. Like there's so many incredible, like hip hop is so much more than that. But like when you enter and like, you know, in that like space where you're like in a training team and like whatever.
Got it.
I mean, that's usually, you're not like doing the mind-blowing work. Just
it depends on what company you join.
It depends. Yeah. So just like my entrance was from that lens.
Got it.
And so meaning that like, okay, I felt like movement wise I could like explore a lot more, but then content wise was a little, I loved the breadth of storytelling from the classical, you know, world that I grew up in. So now I think looking at critical analysis in my work now, I feel like having these mediums that are, whatever style or whatever like world that I have is really good at looking at a lot of different lenses. I can go from looking at specifically Indian stories and looking more in specific to mythology and those narratives, that I have a personal, I feel like dance is my way of having a personal reckoning with those ideas and conflicts that I have. And then, but then I can go wider out into the environment and like societal structure. And I think things that I'm just innately curious about, but I happen to have a medium of which I can ask those questions. And I think I like to phrase it as just offering a different perspective and like analysis, if you may, on these like things that I'm passionate about versus like offering like hard solutions to them, right?
Yeah. Or statements.
Or like strong statements. I don't know that I like to do that necessarily versus introducing people to different ways of looking. And that's, I think it stems from that, like, I'm curious about this, or stems from something that I want to learn more about, or I am just passionate about, but then manifests in like these different ways.
Do you ever feel like because your work is that, and we're going to go on to the next point, which hopefully I don't offend you with, but I'm coming from a place of curiosity myself.
Yeah, 100%. I'm an open book.
But do you feel because your work is, for the sake of this conversation, let's say it's so left-winged, do you ever feel the consequences of that? Because there can be consequences when you're, you know, when some things are so sacred and you're kind of like diluting them or challenging them or having a conversation about that. But you can be like reveled by people, like the 2-year-old coming up to you and saying how she loves your work, but then at the same time the classical community can hate you or really disparage your value.
100%. And to that, it's usually the classical community.
Yeah.
It's usually not any other community. And it's not even, I would say, the whole community versus it ends up usually being people that I don't know that well, but are like that don't know me. So I think India 91 was one of those like bigger moments for me to like recenter myself when receiving criticism, because we wore sneakers in that piece.
Oh yes, and you're supposed to.
And you're not supposed to, which I agree with. Like, so the construct of not wearing sneakers in classical dance is because classical dance is a devotional dance form that is supposed to respect the earth and offer praise to the gods and goddesses, which...
But it's also temple dances.
And it's temple dance.
So, yeah.
And so one performing Bharatanatyam cannot wear shoes at all.
Yeah.
Like 100%.
I love the fact that you guys did the footwork with sneakers, because I was like, did y'all rip your sneakers after that? Also, I want to talk about the Derek situation, which happened in the bloopers. How many times he did that? I would be pissed.
Oh my God.
I would be pissed.
It was, my reaction was recorded. I was just like shocked that he just like, I don't even know why he did that. He was like, I thought we all messed up. And I was
he
like,
was going good. You were doing so, we were rooting for you, Derek. We were all rooting for you.
Take. Just like, but like, so that flooring was like literally rough concrete. Like it was insane, like the ground. And it was just the only thing I could afford at the time.
Hey, you've danced on flooring. You've danced on beach grounds. You've danced on, which I'm going to ask you about. What would you rather, dance on beach, in grass, on the slums in India, barefoot, where it looks
everyone
like
was shocked at me that I did that barefoot.
There's this, can I just say, I watched that video again today, and there's this specific auntie that's like in the corner, just like.
Which is everyone's, they're just kind of like, not a smile. Like,
no.
But they're all there to watch. Like I know, but get there at like 5 a.m. so I wouldn't bother anyone. And they all just woke up and they came. They were like.
I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was one of those things where you were like, oh, I really want to shoot here. I've kind of like, okay, just catch it. I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna go for it. Just go for it.
No, it wasn't that though. I had met the kids that were in the video first, and I saw them dancing like outside where I was staying, and then that led into a whole thing where I was like, where do you guys live? And
let me follow you.
Yeah, let me follow. It's an adventure time. But I guess to answer your question, I mean, I love grass. Like grass, I just like feel like I'm a part of the earth.
Yeah, but hun, you get like pebbles and you get those little things.
Yeah, I know. Like, there's a lot of danger. There's still a lot of danger factor. But sand is just like really hard to even stabilize at all. Like
agreed.
Sand is like really crazy. I mean, wood is the best in terms of like seeing the dance. Not like I hate Marley, but that's like what all people
that is true
do. But it's not good for BNAT whatsoever. wood is the way to go. Because it's so dense. Like there's like a buoyancy to wood where you can actually hear and feel the steps. When it's marley, like it hurt because you're stepping so harshly. But yeah, oh my God. So your earlier question was about
the classical community disparaging your work.
So basically so in the rule breaking, you know, world, which I'm very deep into, I just believe context is everything. And so the context of that piece was that we were in a cipher, and these were like, I think the background where all of those dancers came from, which is, you know, ciphering in like the concrete garage or like wherever, you know, that was like we were all meeting there and like doing this. And that was I think the conversation of privilege was the one in that piece of the hip hop world entering dance from a place of not having privilege to actually the wooden floors that, you know, Bharatanatyam is an extremely privileged dance form that without money you cannot practice it because you don't have access. And that's a conversation that I'm looking to address more, because I think that Bharatanatyam dancers don't fully realize that yet. I think it's coming up slowly now in like the professional world. But like, so that piece in particular was about that conflict. And so what if you can't afford that, right? And so, yeah, not a lot, but like a couple classical dancers like came at me like, what do you know about Bharatanatyam? Like, these are not the rules. And me being like, well, actually, like I did train for like 20 years and I like,
I kind of know what I'm talking about.
I like not an expert, but but I think it's intention, because I usually hate it when other people wear sneakers and they have
I do as well
in their steps. So I usually hate it for the same reason. But yeah, I think context is important, and so it's okay.
Which brings me to my next conversation. I'm going through a bit of a pickle myself right now in terms of.
Let me hear it.
Hun,
tell me about it.
I think there's this conversation around cultural appropriation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I find it sometimes that as a South Asian person growing up, I think I watched Judas and Messiah the other day. Okay. I don't know if you watched it. It's a really good movie. It's about Black Panthers and that entire movement and how that operation. It's a beautiful movie and it's directed very well. And I think it started making me think that I was like, we only had like Gandhi, or like in Pakistani culture we had like Qaeda-e-Azam, or like there's certain figures, but I think in terms of our current community there's not a lot of people. And within South Asian community there's the caste system, then there's colorism, and then there's like division between like, if you're Bengali you're like this, if you're Malayali like this, if you're Pakistani, there's politics involved within religion. And I think the perspective that I'm trying to come from is, and I'll try and make it more poignant in this question, which is, as somebody who has a diverse cast of dancers, and in conversations today where even we discussed and you put out a statement on the word urban and how I felt the consequences of it, to a point where I had to change the name of my class or simply suffer the consequences of it. Not suffer, but kind of deal with that. And then creating work which, like Santi Gold's work, which you did, which has the N-word in it. But then also the cultural appropriation within South Asian community, when like people who aren't of our community who learn dancing, but then they also wear like, let's say, a bindi, and how that actually, some people don't understand it. It's not just a beauty thing. It actually has sacred religious values as well sometimes. how do you balance all of that? And where's the linear line for you to be like, okay, this is where I'm coming from, this is direction I'm going in, or I can also do it in a smarter way with just clothing, or this is how I'm not appropriating Black culture, or it's okay for me to use it. Because I think there's so many blurred lines right now that I recently had an incident where it's like I'm talking to the South Asian community who are evolved and don't understand the meaning of it, and I'm talking to the other side of it who are like, just because the masses do it and it's worn at Coachella, or like, you know, like it's Bollywood, and if people of your own culture promote it. So I'm intrigued to know your perspective.
It's so muddy. It's like so muddy. There is no line, in my opinion. We can only, I think, again, this is where intention is like huge for me. I think when just viewing anyone's work or like how they carry themselves, I think you can, one of the things you instantly can feel is what their intention is. Whether their intention is just to go look cool, or maybe they have a connection with it, or maybe they're learning about it and made a conscious decision, I think is huge, you know? Or if they just saw it somewhere and they just took it. I feel like those are like really core things that you can just understand when you view anything. But then asking questions, hello? I'm in a home.
Is that a question to ask, or is that?
Oh, hi. Sorry. That's okay. The painter is just.
Oh, no worries. I thought that was your dad. Hi, Uncle.
I know. Wrong guy. But in the urban conversation, is it gonna work here? Oh my God. Do you mind if you like relocate for a second?
I don't mind, no, okay. Seriously.
Well, I'll talk and walk at the same. You know,
guys,
well, now you can see my
welcome to MTV Cribs with Ishita.
I know. Check out I'm using a salt and pepper shaker.
I am here for this. I'm so here for that.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna take my chai too, and we're gonna like relocate you guys.
No worries.
And I also took and my brother's there. Now we have a full. You know, you tell the whole family that you're about to do an interview, and no one gives a shit.
Can we just talk about the fact that at least he's sanding down? I can hear him sanding down the walls.
Oh yeah, he's doing like a full. We have like holes in the wall. We have like.
God.
All this stuff is going on right now.
Are you guys using like a poly filler to like do things and like?
Girl, I don't know nothing. Mm-mm.
How do you not know what a poly filler is?
I don't know what that is. I'm 25. I don't know.
It doesn't matter. It's called life skills.
I don't have some basic life skills, and you're really calling me out on my shit right now. So I feel attacked, but we'll let it go. Okay, here we go. So now we've relocated. So about the really serious conversation that we were just interrupted by.
It's
Wow. Okay, we're back and we're ready to party. So there we go. Okay. Yeah, I think that so in the urban conversation, that was something that I don't know if it's fortunate, but I was leaning towards doing that anyways. Like in my personal journey, didn't feel like urban Indian accurately like defined what I did. And was like a box. I think that another like whole issue is just like how like especially South Asians are so pushed to label ourselves in the arts world, especially like before you even come up with the style, it's already it's bhangra hop. Or I just like made something up. No. Instead of like spending time to like understand and like
what it is.
Slash I think, or in my work, I don't view it as this thing plus that thing.
Yeah.
I like happen to have a quite diverse background. And I like my work, again, I like don't even think about the movement really anymore. It's like one of the last things to like.
Yeah, like you said.
So it became its own little box. But then in the conversation when like the global hip hop community then started addressing this, then I understood, like, I had no idea. I think urban was like a word that the community that especially like the West Coast, East Coast community started adopting. It started in the West Coast. But it really started as like a means to say fusion, like the type of work, like hip hop, like based in hip hop, but also had experimental and like contemporary influences, like in your, so like, you know, like the Keone and Mari is like a, you know, like iconic example where like their work is like abstract and like a little, it's not like hip hop, it's like falls in a lot of spaces. So that's how urban started becoming more popularized, but then started having like racial denotations with like, okay, so I'm going to call the black guy over there like a hip hop dancer, but then like the Asian one an urban dancer.
Got it.
And then like that application is, I think, what stuck out to me as like, this is like, I shouldn't be a part of this.
Got it.
So that was the, so that was like the, again, I was like walking down that line. And like I spoke to pretty much like everyone I knew about it. And I think that I would have been like, quote, quote, okay to have continued using like urban Indian, because in context, like most people like knew what I was talking about. Like, but I think for my own personal reasons and I think the way, like the larger conversation about it, like I didn't want to anymore. So, but then I found it kind of freeing, again, for my personal reasons. I was like, yes, you don't have to like, but you know, it started as like that need of needing a term to view through, like to have a label to look through. Cause for whatever reason, I felt the pressure of like, people have no idea what I do. And how do I like make it make sense to them in like 3 words or less, you know? There isn't like a label for this body of work that I make.
I think there will have to be though, because I don't know what it is. I think like I said, my Avengers team in America, you guys are on the crevice on something. And I think I don't know what it is, but I talked about it with, again, I have to bring Akram Khan's, that dancer that I spoke to.
Honored to be on a similar panel as to like, oh my God.
I think he still falls within contemporary because that's his field. But I think in this day and age where you have Alvin Ailey and you have things like Horton Technique, which belong to other communities, I would love it if there was a class at Broadway Dance Center or Millennium Complex, which was not a Bollywood class, and not saying or a Bhangra class or like anything to do with that, but something that was modern, that had classical or like vignettes in it, but also was modernized and wasn't just for the South Asian community, but for other people, but kind of in its core belonged or
to
came
the South
from
Asian community.
Yeah, and I think you should keep searching that, and I think you will have to find a label for it. Maybe.
I don't know if I'm the person to do that. I mean, because because Brinda is a teacher in the New York space.
Yeah.
I believe she goes by teaching Indian. I mean, you could talk to her more about it, but I think it's Indian contemporary in the Kalamandir style. But like for me, I don't identify with contemporary as like the main describer of what I do, though it is now the like overarching box if needed to like put in, or like quote quote fusion, which I think I just have a personal vendetta against fusion because it just like in the way that it's used is like this thing plus that thing again, which like goes back to that conversation. Like everyone's calling themselves fusion but don't have the actual understanding of what it means to fuse, to really fuse something from like the root. So I personally like I don't identify as a teacher.
Got it.
That's not like it's not that I'm not passionate about it. I do enjoy teaching when, you know, in the off, you know, master class of such, but I think I'm in such an exploratory phase of wanting to be a concept maker. Like I like being a director. Like that's where my heart is.
Got it.
Instead of teaching, I think for me, it's like, I don't know what I offer in a class yet. I can offer you a snippet of my world and how I view life. But if you don't have a strong dance background in anything, or like a really strong background, it's like really hard to then apply what I'm giving you.
Yeah.
So I think I haven't figured out yet where or what I offer yet as a teacher in a meaningful way. Cause like, I think that I could build a culture around, yeah, I'm going to teach like these cool classes,
Yeah,
have like these fusion classes and like, you know, whatever. But I don't think that the intent would be right yet for me. But then in the large, I think that's still a
it'll be profitable.
Huh?
It'll be a profitable situation.
Exactly. And I think that that's still a conversation
Yeah.
that could use some reckoning with right now in the South Asian world, in the South Asian dance world, of, you know, like what really is the intention and what are we doing?
But it's fame, hun. Everybody wants a bit of fame.
Yeah, so I'm like, no. Yeah, that's not like my ride. So I feel like for my personal journey, I'm not like rushing to create. I think I'm gonna stay labelless.
All right, Raven Simone.
It's like a little hashtag like image. Like image.
Do you remember that conversation that Raven did where she was like,
which one?
I don't want to be labeled.
Actually, yeah, I do. She's like hilarious and iconic at the same time.
I adore her. What did she say? Like, I actually belong to every continent in Africa except for one.
Like, that's so ballsy, man. Okay.
I love her.
She's incredible. She's incredible.
Let's talk about image. IMGE. IMGE, also known as Image.
Yeah, often pronounced as IMGE Dance Group at all of the Indian things.
For real?
They'll be like, okay, now it's IMGE Dance Group. And I'm like...
Do they ever do like, and now world-renowned dance group?
Yeah, that kind of thing, you know? And then they'll be like, someone once called us, and this is Inspired Dance Group. And I was like, where'd you get that from?
Try and come up with like a random name and stuff like. Do you know what you should do? I know it's a little bit of a gimmick. I really think it's a bit of a gimmick.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah. I hear you.
Oh, no, don't worry. Yeah, let's talk about image quickly. Tell people what image stands for, if you wouldn't mind.
I can totally do that.
And the direction it is going into versus when you first started, how it's changed, how it hasn't changed. And let's talk a little bit about the dancers.
I'd love to talk about all those things. So, all those things. So
or just be like, that's a hard pass. No, thank you.
Actually, too sensitive. So, Image stands for Ishita Mili Global Expose. I don't really like saying all that, but like it's really Image. Like I just came up with the acronyms to fill those letters.
Oh, did you? I thought it was a hardcore thought.
It is a hardcore thought.
Oh my god.
Well, expose, I think I was drawn to the word expose because it's like that analysis of looking at something. And so I think that's still an underlying thing of like what I do. A very core thing of what I do. So Image is a multidisciplinary,
I'm here for this word. Could you say that one more time?
Multidisciplinary.
Thank you.
Yeah. Multidisciplinary performance company rooted in...
You got it. You got this.
Rooted in, I know. I am not a talker speaker. I avoid it as much as possible. But rooted in Indian classical, folk, hip hop, contemporary, all these different things, but it's ultimately a mechanism of global storytelling. In that definition since what the definition was in 2017, when I really came up with image as like a collective word, global storytelling is a thing that has remained very much the same. A lot of the, I think that we've touched on different parts of this through conversation, but when I was starting, again, felt the need where I entered into dance through the lens of urban Indian of, okay, I need people to see me. I need people to understand Indian plus Western. I need to like make that clear. Since then, have broadened a lot of not thinking about what the dancing looks like versus what it's saying. And I think now I really look at, and that's why I look at us as not strictly a dance company, because we also use theater and we also use film and we also use, like, there's a huge focus on multi-dimensional art, not just the dancing, for the intent of how do we say what we want to say in the best way possible, in the most effective way possible. However, dance languages I apply, like, to make that happen, again, kind of happens a little after. So it's less like we are a Indian plus hip hop plus this company. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's like the huge overarching thing that's changed. When I started just like choreographing, like I was choreographing in this like general style of like what I was thinking for a year before I really came up with the word image, and like creating like I just like got my friends together and I was like, I want to make something. And then it kind of grew into this thing, which I think is one of the best ways to do it. Like make the thing, make the ideas first and then see if it's, you know.
Is this whilst you're being a barista and making up coffees and you're like,
you're like a timeline?
You're like, maybe I need to.
So my WAD set I made behind a coffee bar. Like made my staging on like my extra receipts and stuff.
Did you actually?
No joke.
Wow.
So
do you still have them?
Now we're here. Yeah, so like all of my dancers still are from the East Coast dance community world. And I think touching on one of the like observations you made, they've mostly been with me for a long time, or I've known them personally for a long time. I think with especially the like hip hop East Coast dance coast world, I know that there's like a level of comfort that most people know where I come from, that I've like trained here, if that makes sense. That's something I got told, at least. Like I was invited to teach at like a hip hop studio, but in my style, which is like kind of not common for a time period. And then I kind of went through my like teaching, you know, realizations. But like it's a close community here. And so I like know how their brains work, if that makes sense. And I know in selecting dancers, because I don't really hold auditions, usually have looked for people. Thanks guys for all of you for commenting on Ninjami. I'm drawn to dancers who have strong personalities. And like, it looks like they have something that they want to say. And I view now dancing or creating choreography as ways to showcase them and what they have to say in the best way possible, which is a huge shift now in where I started, which was like, I'm making in my styles and in my voice, what, you know, choreography and things I want to make, but now trying to meet the artists that I'm working with as well and figuring out where they are in the conversation and what, you know, they have to say about it as well. And then in that, how do I showcase their skills and their personalities like in the best way possible? That's really an evolution also in the last year that I've been like transitioning a lot into more of that mode of thinking, so that it's not just like this Indian, like American girl, like, you know, it's really about all of us. And it's really about, again, this like global storytelling. It's not just me and what I have to say. It's now like all of us collectively. So it's something that they all happen to be like passionate about. And, you know, I think found where they shine here. That's why they stuck along for so long. Because again, in that like in the company world where there's like such a high turnover rate, you know, there's often not a lot of time to like make that level of connection. So that's why I'm a little averse to like holding auditions and stuff. Just because I need to know like who you are, if that makes sense.
Got it.
Yeah, but probably in the future it will open up, but that's just kind of where I am right now in the company.
Can I ask you from a business perspective, in terms of, you talked about it that you make a lot of your money through gigging, and through commission work. I'm intrigued to know, as a conceptual person of South Asian descent who wants to make experimental and exploratory work that is of a multidisciplinary and multidimensional narrative, how do you go on about creating a sustainable living through that? Like, are there actual funding programs there, and what sort of gigs do you get? And also, do you get
all the right questions?
Also, because you're South Asian, do you get the Bollywood gigs or asked to do it? And then do you do it because some of them can be really good money? Like, I just did a movie and I made like a good amount of money, but also it was killing me inside. But I was like, what do I do? Do I become a waiter, or do I like do this job and somewhat stay creative? So yeah, all those questions.
All of it. 3 years ago, I went through that dilemma of, do I go to med school, or do I literally do anything else? It was really like med school versus like the entire world that I think I'd be better at. At that time, so I ended up not doing medical school. And there was a conversation of, if I wanted to be a professional dancer full time right now, what would that look like with my skill set? I had thought about, what would a dance major look like for someone like me? Yeah. And nothing that dance major educations at that time offered were anything that I was really interested in. Because dance education, professional education, is really from the like white education perspective. There was not really room for where I wanted to be as a dancer in somewhere.
Even in contemporary? Because
I'm not really passionate about contemporary dance though.
But I only say that because I feel like in the contemporary world, like, I don't know about there, and we're going to get into that question, there's a lot of contemporary companies here that invite the classical community, the classical Indian community, to do courses and to do lectures, and there's more of an exchange happening. And under that umbrella, one can go and get their doctorate or get their degree and then challenge that space or create programming within that.
Yeah, but there's a lot of like, you have to learn the rules of how that world works in order to break it. And that's something I wasn't interested in doing. Like, I could get the guest courses from the one diversity person, or like the couple diversity people, right? Like, because that's what they're called, you know? It's like, how do we add diversity into this instead of having diversity as a foundation of it, right? That's like a whole other reckoning. But whereas, like, let's say if I could just like be in the hip hop world and in this space, I could just kind of be comfortable in trying things at my pace.
That's so fascinating, because I've found that sometimes, even as a South Asian person in the hip hop community, like underground especially, it was more predominantly based. Like, I was utilized as the token person.
Oh, everyone thought I was Filipino, so.
Yeah, but this was the thing, like, there were tremendous amount of hip hop ciphers and things like I went through, and everybody was sweet, but it was like the hip hop and the contemporary company had one thing in popular: they didn't have a lot of South Asian representation, and they were predominantly made up of white dancers, black dancers, Filipino dancers, Southeast Asians, and things like that. And for a South Asian person to come in who has knowledge of like just that sort of style, but has also experimented everything else, it was like one wasn't accepted. So it's very fascinating that you found home in that some sort of.
I mean, I think that it was also just the particular community that was a kind of smaller, like I didn't feel lost, you know, but I was the only South Asian person. Whereas I don't think I would have felt as comfortable in the West Coast dance community, which is a lot like bigger and spread, and
because of white supremacy.
So I think it just happens. I feel just very lucky that I grew up in the little corner of a space that I did, which is usually where I thrive better anyways. But yeah, the dance major things were not really an option. But then at that time of, okay, like just kind of quit school or like stuff like that, me surviving as a dancer at that time would have been me being a Bollywood dancer, because those are the gigs available for someone with my background. I wasn't like strong enough to hold my solo ground and like competing in the like the block and the, you know, the like hip hop agency like kind of worlds, and that's not something I wanted to do. And so it just like there wasn't much of an option. And then starting a dance company that's as, you know, experimental as you would say, it's still a process now of getting the gigs that I want to do versus the ones that categorize in a certain way. So I do work another job right now. I'm not a full-time
Oh, really?
artist. Yeah, I like work another job. I did my master's in business and science. And I ended up consciously making those choices because it gave me the freedom to create however I wanted, which for my particular situation, it's not an overarching thing for how other people are as artists, but for the way that I am passionate about creating. I just really don't like creating on other people's terms. And that came after trying the different gigs. Like one route would have been doing the weddings, which are great money, but I hate doing them.
Well, you're telling me you don't like performing when people are eating, or you don't like the waiter going past you, or you don't like when they kind of calls you up and like, yeah, you do performance. We want half an hour, 15-minute medley, huh?
Yeah. Listen, I love the free food, but not my jam.
Yeah.
Not my jam.
You do entrance and at the end you teach workshop, no?
Yeah. And then I tried the like Bollywood shtick here and there. I tried other people's dance companies here and there. It's just not my cup of tea. And I think that there's no pride, like it shouldn't be a pride thing. Like if you need to take that gig, like the money's great. Like there should be not a pride thing. Like that is what the reality is. Like there's no shame in that. That's just not what I wanted to do. I know plenty of like fantastic dancers who like also take the gigs, just like it's reliable
to survive.
And this is
survive.
Like that's the way it is. And that's so like for me to comfortably create, I have to work another job that's outside of the entertainment industry. For me, the balance works out. It's a whole thing, but it works out for now. I don't know where that leads in the future. But it's working on, I think, for the gig life and in the space. Someone's really fascinated by my accent, which is very American, and deal with it. So
guys, don't be an asshole. I will come for you. Okay.
She's got a fist on her.
Okay, I will come for you.
But
and be respectful. All right. Don't give me an angry emoji saying "say goodnight." And that respect.
But I'm still in the place of showing people how much worth this has and how applicable it, like my world that I've created here is in so many different places. And like the agency world in the industry doesn't quite know how to use someone like me just yet.
Have you signed to agencies?
No.
How comes?
Because I don't want to be signed as a dancer. I am less of a dancer now than I am a choreographer, director. And then the process of getting signed I'm just not sure, because I have like connections and stuff, but I'm not sure that that I'll be connected to the things that I want, the types of things that I want to. It's like still like I'm a little like I'm very sensitive about my work right now still. And
Absolutely.
like I'm really like manually doing the networking and like finding the like people, which has been going pretty well for like me doing it by myself right now. But like I know my like friends in the agency world and like how, you know, what the connections are, you know, and like the way that like I think that I'm okay on my own for now until like I can really make a connection that like I feel is aligned with like.
I wish you were in Europe, because
I think it's different there, so I'm like curious to like I'm dying to go. Like
I wish you were in the UK, because you get all of that of what you're saying, but there's also space to be able to do what you're doing. And I think there's so much experimental work here with, like, there's this wonderful choreographer by the name of Holly Blakely who just worked on the Vivienne Westwood campaign.
yeah.
And even though she predominantly uses the same dancers, but like her work is very conceptual, and it's very, though it sits within the realm of contemporary, you can see other moments of it. And I think there's Black choreographers that are like that, and there aren't a lot of South Asian people who do that. And I feel like, yeah, there needs to be space for that. But the thing is, the only way for us to kind of get in there is through either doing the festival route, where you create your own company, you do the gigs, you get the fundings, and you do all of that, and then you hopefully get picked up by somebody, and then you get financed and then signed to an agency. Or you sign as a dancer, you do the gig, work with the choreographers, assist them, and then start creating. But you have the space here to really work with fashion brands and with so many other things where it allows you to be able to do this. And I would think the States would have that.
The like industry here is just so crowded, and especially like I'm like in the New York side of it, right? Where like everyone is screaming all the time. I haven't found, especially in the agency world here, like it's just so insane. That like the freedom that you're talking about in Europe, which I think I actually understand that it's different there. With like the people I know in Europe as well who are like choreographers and such. Yeah, you think, especially like America being all like, we're diversity, you know? We would be better at that, especially in the arts world. I think there's a reckoning now happening. That's, I think, what I feel, especially through the pandemic, a reckoning happening with industry and like the institutions, right? That it's moving that way, hopefully. Like for me as an artist, I feel like I can hop into a lot of different spaces of like the concert world versus the commercial. I feel like I have potential in the commercial world of where this could be applied, and like the different mediums of work. To not stay in one place, but to see how like there's just no infrastructure yet for someone like me to navigate that. Like we'd have to be finding like the right agent who would like know, if that makes sense.
You kind of need like a tailored management company.
I need a tailored management company, which I don't see right now, like the, you know, Clear Talent and the MSAs.
Have you done if you don't mind me asking? We're just chatting right now. Have you gone the art gallery routes? I don't know if they have that within the States. Here in the UK, they have something called Late. I think it might be called Tate Lates, but it's like where every gallery, museums and things like that, I think it's once a month or like done 4 times a year or something like that, where all of them stay open and they give emerging artists a space to be able to use the gallery spaces, and they're open to like 11 or sometimes midnight, and you can go and actually perform in spaces like that and create work, and some of them are actually commissioned
Oh, I think
Does
there's
MoMA?
pockets of that here. Oh,
Yeah.
like the MoMA and stuff like that. Yeah. So like right now in the larger, I would say like South Asian diaspora, I don't know, it's kind of a tangent. I'd say classical dance is getting a limelight. And classical dance is actually, I would say, thriving in New York and such like that. Where those kind of like, I think the Indian contemporary to classical dances are getting space.
Yeah.
And so there are like, I like the MoMA and the Mets and like the art gallery kind of residency worlds, like those are happening. I see. I think where I see myself in like my background is like, which goes into the labeling thing, is like the idea of hip hop is not really appreciated in the South Asian diaspora or understood fully. I think that goes into that like, okay, so like Bollywood fusion garbage. And so there's like a divide right now between like me and like the I would say classical community, which is like pretty abundant here, of like I don't know if lack of respect is like the right word, but a little bit. Especially like the older generation. So there's like, again, it's like weird. It's weird to be so experimental, but also such an asset to be so like to have something that like no one, like I know no one else is exactly doing what like I'm doing, and like also, you know, like the Brinda and like the Project Converge, like we're all in like these spaces that like we're only like the ones who are really crafting these like really strong, you know, vocabularies. And then like just like making it, like the difficulties now is like making it make sense to other people who have strong ideas about what you are, like if that makes sense.
It does.
Like, so I'll get like this is happening like recently, which is like personal, where like I was asked like for this festival to not present my own work because it wasn't strong enough, but to present myself in Mayurpanj Chow in Bharatanatyam, because like that's where they wanted to see me in, which is like just like a weird dilemma. That like it's like, no, but like everyone's like, it's really from like these like select like older gen like Indian heads and stuff like that are like, everyone's doing your fusion garbage, like we want classical. So then it's like, so like, oh my god, it's like all like ugh. But
I think it's about getting your foot in before. I don't know, I think you're fighting, your head is in a lot of baskets, and I think you want to stay true to who you are. You want to be convicted as an artist, as an artistic director, as a person, and you want to be fulfilled in those things. You don't want to lose your artistic integrity, but then at the same time, if there is no space for you to be able to do all those things, it's like, which was going to be my question, which was, it goes back to the agreement that you had with your family, which is like, you do a route, which almost every South Asian person, since you're born into any household, you're meant to do, or do you kind of do the route of doing the Bharatanatyam showcases or the Chow showcases or other situations such as that to get your foot in, to get the funding, and then how do you smartly utilize that? Because at least you're in the door, right? So you can affect change.
It's like very it's still even not that linear, you know, where like, so from the family thing, like, so the family thing was like, you need to have like a steady, respectable, you know, honorable living, right?
Can I ask you to hold on that thought, and just, I want to put this question in, which is like, as a person who got kicked out of the house for going into the industry, and I made a very poignant like sort of turn, like I was leaving, and that ended up hindering me, and as well, like, I don't know, maybe it helped me, but how was it that you strike me as a person who's very much convicted in who you are, who's very confident? what was it that didn't make you stand up to your parents and be like, no, this is what I want to do. If I don't have your blessings, I'm actually going to go away and do that. Was it the comfortability aspect of it?
I love that I am so striking as a very confident person, because I would say that it only happened after, like, I think I gained confidence once it took me a really long time to break away.
Yeah.
It took me a really long time where I spent so much of my life trying to make other people proud of me, whether it was my gurus or my parents. And like, I just happened to have a lot of very strongly opinionated people in my life of like different opinions too. Like I even had people who were like, you need to do classical dance, but do it full time. And I was like, what? Like a lot of like, it's weird where like people know you're talented, but not in the way that they want, you know? So that's like a whole other thing. But
we're going on 2 hours now, by the way.
Oh my God. Okay. We should
No, it's fine. I've only got 2 more questions to ask you before we get into some games, and then that's it. So let's put a half an hour onto it.
Okay, here we go. So here we go. Like it basically took me a long time to realize what I wanted. For a long time, I didn't know what I wanted.
Got it.
You know,
but you said you always wanted to be a choreographer, and you wanted to be.
I knew I loved dancing, but I didn't know. Like I even when I was a child, like I loved choreographing, and then I kind of fell out of love with dance for a long time. Like I was doing it and I was training and stuff, but I like lost my voice for a long time. Even through the Bharatanatyam, through the Arangetram, it was really after once I like entered the like hip hop world where I was given space to like just try things that I wanted, where like it took me until 2016 where I made my first piece to be like, okay, I think that this is like something that I'm passionate about, you know? So like I've been in the space for so goddamn long, but like it took a really long, and then even when I did that and I had a little seed of an idea, my parents being like, okay, but that's literally just a seed. Like we can't rely on a seed, because they knew that I was talented, you know, but like again, seeing like my uncle and all the hardships that he went through, I think it was really just fear, you know, that like we've seen this story play out, like we know the stats, you know. They're very like, they need to see it in order to believe it. It was really when they saw Rasta Kata, finally, when I had my first substantial piece of work on stage, where like my mom broke down and she was like, okay, like I see what you're trying to say.
Got it.
After like they have to see it to believe it, you know. And like I felt like, again, from how I was brought up, I couldn't put my foot down unless I had something to show for it. So it took me a while to get something to show for it. Wasn't huge, like wasn't, you know, getting paid a lot at all or anything, but like something that like showed what was in my head, because I had no idea, and I still like am bad with words, but I like had it all in my head, but I had no idea how to like verbalize my feelings and thoughts. So like that was like a whole thing. So I think then confidence, like the confidence that I think like, I don't know, I get like, oh my God, you're like so confident. And I'm like, it feels like a newer thing that like people.
Well, it can, I think like confidence can also be a facade of insecurity, like same as like, you know, how humor can be used as a tool of, I don't know, to get over pain. So it could just be, it could be also those things.
But like, I would say that I'm genuinely have like come to a place now after, you know, doing all that stuff, but it's like so hard. It's just so hard when your parents are just like, no.
Could you have left the house, and was it just the fact the two things were at that space where you didn't know the direction you were going to? So if you didn't know the direction and you kind of were like, I'm leaving, I'm going to make it on my own, you'd be like, well, I'm fucked. I have no clue what to do. Was that a massive part of it?
Yeah, I think going back to the like, I could have been maybe okay if I took all the Bollywood gigs.
Yeah.
And I really didn't want to do that, you know. I did some of them, but like I just like I can't do it. So like I think I'm also I'm grateful for my parents, like,
understanding
straight-headedness sometimes, because now I'm like a very logical person, actually. I often feel like a scientist in an artist's body, and I
you said
often
that as
feel,
well.
yeah, like I definitely like think very, like, I plan things out, and I like am very detailed and like organized, and like I, you know, that's just how my brain works, and it's like a large part of just how I was raised, you know. But that, and actually as a director, it does a lot for you, those like skills. So yeah, you know, there's a push and pull. Like, so I wasn't going to be the person who was just going to like live on the streets of New York with like nothing, you know. Like I mean, it's no shame in that, you know. Like, the hustle is, I think it's like the hustle is
It's
different
real.
for everyone, you know. Like, what your hustle looks like is your hustle. Like, there's no one who can dictate what's the right way to go about it. Like, I could have done this, I could have done, like, I've been constantly like moving through streams, you know. Like, even like my 9 to 5 is like a really flex remote job. So like it allowed me to like in the middle of the days go to New York and do random rehearsals and stuff like that. So like for me it worked out, you know, in the balance and stuff like that. And like finally my parents came on board, and now they're like supportive and whatever.
Which brings me to quickly the next 3 questions, and you can answer them all within 5 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna put a timer on there.
Sorry.
No, please.
He's rambling.
This question I asked to everybody, and I think after speaking to yourself, take droplets of it and apply it to yourself. I always ask this, which is, if you remove the support that you have from your family, be it financially, physically, so like the roof that you have, the fact that you're living with them, their straight-headedness in any sort of format, the grit that you have as a person in regards to the direction that you want to go in, the opportunities that you have had, if you take those things away that make you the person that you are today and the artist that you are today, take all those away, would you still be doing what you're doing today? That's question number 1. Question number 2 is, how do you balance, and I pretty much think you've answered this already, but I just wanted to ask this, how do you balance being a freelancer versus not being signed to an agency versus owning a company, having a 9 to 5, and just mentally sustaining that versus having a financial, where do you store your costumes? How do you manage rehearsals? Like all of that sort of stuff. And how do you not let the reviews of your work, or like the reviews of, you know, the digital space, or the gurus or the people that eat you up, or like all of that mentally. And the third is, how the hell did you manage to damage your goddamn knee? And how did you feel the 9 months that you could not dance? Or you found a way? Because I feel like dancers are the worst patients. Dancers, athletes, and doctors are the worst patients. You'll say you can't dance, and then in 2 weeks they'll find some way of doing something.
Yeah.
So go.
Okay,
support. Yeah.
Okay. Number 1, the answer is no. I think that I'm very much a product of my experiences. Yeah. In an alternate universe, I think if I hadn't found the hip hop world, I might have stopped dancing.
Wow.
I was like so unhappy with dance. I like didn't find, you know. So yeah, the answer is no. And I think also I'm very much a product of my privilege as an artist. Again, without my mom like drove me like 4 hours a week to go to Bharatanatyam lessons, which were very expensive.
Classical Indian dance is very expensive. I think the classical community needs to look at budgeting.
Yeah, which is a huge thing that I'm like, I think another lens that I look at classical dance from in my work is like the huge amount of privilege that it takes to even be a part of it. It doesn't speak for the poor. It doesn't speak for the less privileged whatsoever. And like my artistry is a product of those things still, you know, and I come from an upper middle class family where I have a basement in my home that I use as my dance studio. And without that, like, I don't know what else I would have done. Especially in this environment, again, of like lack of opportunity and stuff in the US. I don't know how someone who wanted to do what I do, who didn't have the resources, like, it's just so hard, you know?
Yeah.
I view being an artist as like, I'm fortunate to have all the things that I've had so that I can move forward. But I needed those things.
Got it.
Now, question number 2 was, how do I stay sane? It's a practice.
Well, how do you switch off? Because I think those things can end up ruining your mind, and it can end up ruining your artistic value, or just
100%. I had to find a balance of things that feed into each other. So even business school and the side job that I have, like, I learned to be a salesperson, and I learned how, like, all of the business technical terms and like LLCs and like all of those background info things, that I was learning those things at the same time as I was forming a dance company, where a lot of the learning actually crossed over, and I think made me think smarter about being a dance company. Again, now working in the confinements that I am like still building the structure of how to make a dance company like fully self-sustainable, because it's not right now. You know, because I'm not taking all the gigs, because I'm in a place where I really only want to take the gigs that I am passionate about, that I feel like I can do what I want to do. And that's a choice that I'm making. And so realizing that and not being like, oh, I want to be a full-time artist. I kind of know what that reality would look like at this present moment, and I'm not crazy with it. So right now, like, though it's like a lot of crazy things to be balancing, and I also freelance for like other projects at the same time, you know, that everything's feeding into each other.
But what about the dancers that you hold on to? Like, I'm assuming they're freelancers as well. They must do other stuff.
Yeah, they're all, I mean, most of them like work also, like they have careers right now. And that, you know, it's just like the reality right now. Like, if I'm able to create an infrastructure where I can pay, I can pay consistently, I mean, on like a salary level, like, you know, working towards something that would look like that. But I know that I'm, you know, 5 to 10 years away from that in the development process of like what this is.
So sad. Wow.
But, you know, that's how, you know, people have formed dance companies. Like, there's like even examples in the South Asian world, you know, to like look at that have done that. And like the process is a long one, you know, to come to that level.
It doesn't need to be. It really doesn't need to be. All people need to have is an open mind and just support. Like,
I mean, again, we're in an era of rapid change, so it's also like testing the temperature as we go, you know, of where we can adjust and stuff. Like, a dream would just we have like fully paid artists like on staff, right? Like, but you know, this is like what keeps you sane right now, or at least for me, is just like it's not like I'm doing anything separately that like I really don't want to do. Everything right now is like working for each other in different ways. So
got it.
It's a positive thing in that sense, you know? Okay, so that was 2. The third one.
The third, knee.
My knee. Okay, so I was in a dance workshop, like a hip hop one, by my best friend Derek.
Yeah.
And
Derek, the dancer, Derek
the dancer, Derek, who did the India 91 move. For no reason, and his like movement is like really funkadelic. So he like did some like move that it was like a twist. It was like a jump twist, and I just like put my weight wrong. And it was just like, it was not even that crazy, but it just like literally like clean pop. And I was out. So
Derek, this is also to let you know, thank you for your services in the company. You will know, like, bye now.
But for me, that was like that happened at a time where I was in the midst of med school application, like taking the MCAT, and I was like, what am I doing with my life? And like, a lot of unhappiness where like taking that, I was just dancing. Like I was trying everything, I was doing everything, but I was like so unfulfilled. Where having that forced break made me be like, I've been dancing my whole life. Like, what am I trying to do? Should I go back? Like, I'm not fully happy right now. And that's where in rehab, I got the idea of the first piece that I ever choreographed.
Yeah.
It started from there. So and then that thing of like dancers are usually freaking stupid when they get injured and they like start dancing.
Have I lost you?
Lost you. Okay, but we're back, I think. Okay, basically, like, then I also got a slap in the face of like, okay, time to be a smart dancer, not just a good dancer.
Got it.
Yeah. So don't recommend anyone tearing their ACL, but it was a needed, change of realizations for me in my process.
Have you healed now properly? Because the last post said you've 85% healed and 15%. You're still working.
No. I would say I'm like a 99. It's like slightly weaker, and sometimes I feel a little wonky, but it basically sometimes like your knee like relapses for a second, but then it's like actually fine. It's like a weird little thing, but I'm definitely a stronger dancer and like general person now since that, because I like now work out and I like.
You have to keep it in training.
I'm in here for the long run, so it's all good now.
Well, we've come to the fun part of the interview where the deep conversations take a rest and we play some games. And the games section of the situation are called Sip a Chai or Play with Rye, which is, if you play with rye, you play with rye. That's nothing nasty, but it's just, yeah. Or you sip your chai if you don't want to, and I would heavily advise you don't do that. Chai, so here we go. Okay. So I'm going to say this. I don't know why I've decided to put on an Indian accent.
It comes in and out. It's fine.
It comes in and out. The first section is if I was. I do this with everybody. So if I was to say to you, if you were a color, what would you be? And you say that color.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm saying right now.
Ready. No, I'll give you things and then you answer.
Okay, cool. Got you.
Ready? All right. Rapid fire round. If I was a movie, what would the title of that movie be called?
The Long Call.
The Long Call. What would the storyline be in like 2 short sentences if you had to describe it as a synopsis on IMDb?
It would be about the changes that I'm going through in life and the very beautiful but changing process of creating something that is magical.
Got it. I don't mean to disrespect your storyline right now, but I don't know why I heard Britney Spears in the background. I'm not a girl, not yet a woman.
I'm into it.
Who would star in this movie?
Oh, who would? Okay.
Who would play you? Who would play the lead, or who'd co-star in this? Anybody in the entire world.
Oh my God, do you have a suggestion?
No, I don't know you like that right now. Maybe in the future. Who would you want to play you if there was a movie about you?
I've gotten this question multiple times in my life, and I never have.
Well, you can say yourself. A lot of people say I want to play myself.
I'm a terrible actress, though.
Oh. It could be a conceptual thing.
I want it to be an animated movie.
Okay, cool. So who would do the voiceover?
And I actually think I want it to be like weird characters and stuff, like not fully humans. Like, what if this was like, like alien-y animal kind of things?
I'm here for this.
I would like to be, I'd like to be some sort of like an orange cat-like, but also like amphibian. Like I could be something like that. With
cat-like but amphibian. A lichen of sort.
With sparkles.
Sparkles?
Yeah, I would like to be an animated character. I've decided.
Okay, cool. Let's leave it at that. like anime. What would the title song be of this? In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You sing.
Oh, Saya.
No, it's an original song.
Oh, I had to sing the song. Okay.
Yeah, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
She's a crazy girl in a crazy world. She's a crazy girl in a crazy world. Her name is Ishita. She's a here, and she's gonna stay and do a lot of things.
Beautiful. Question: how do you say your last name? Because it was Mili or
Okay,
I've
so
heard lots of different pronunciations of this. By the way,
not my last name.
Sorry, your first name.
My first name is Ishita.
Ishita. It was the E, wasn't it? The
it's the Bengali pronunciation is like you draw out your letters, so it's Ishita.
Do people call you Ish?
Yeah, I have like 1,000 nicknames.
Ish,
Ishi, the sheets,
sheeters, the sheets,
Ishita,
like
Ashita.
Ish.
Yeah, like you're the ish. Like you get that a lot.
Get it. If you were a food, what would you be?
Potato chips.
Oh, if you were a drink, what would you be?
Masala soda.
Oh, I don't think I've ever had that. I've had soda, but I don't think I've ever had masala soda.
It's like
when I come to the States. If you were a color, what would you be?
Rusty orange.
If you were a plant, what would you be?
A little seed of a little flower.
Okay. If you were an emoji, what would you be?
The octopus.
If you were a spider, I was just like, I was thinking of faces, and then it just scrolled past in my head to the octopus. Like, if you were a spice or a herb, what would you be?
Ginger? That's not a spice or an herb. Sorry, that's a root.
I mean,
black salt.
Ginger. Okay, cool. I was gonna say ginger granules if they've been like dried or things like that.
Not that.
Okay.
That's a hard no.
If you were a dessert, what would you be?
Caramel flan.
Oh.
I changed my answer already, but whatever.
Okay. What excites you the most about life, and what is your biggest pet peeve in life?
What excites me the most is like the young generation. Like there's so much growth and there's so much, like I'm excited for where they might take us in the future.
Gen Z.
Like all of like a lot of the problems that I have, I'm like, just wait 10 years until like the young people take over and it's gonna be fine, you know?
Like I remember when I was
yeah, but at the same time I'm sometimes that person, so so they're like, we never had iPads. Like
okay, biggest pet peeve.
Biggest pet peeve is I have a lot that like it's actually hard.
Me too.
Like
me too.
It's not that like I'm like no everyone's great. Like I have like a lot of peeves. Shoot.
Okay, top 3. Go. 5, 4, 3, 2. Go.
I hate when people like tap a lot. They're just like, you know, when they sit they're like, But sometimes I do that, but then when I do it, like I'll put my hand on your hand and I'll be like,
okay, cool. Okay. Like right now I'm doing that with my legs.
Yeah.
I'm literally tapping.
I mean, sometimes I do my own pet peeves, you know?
Okay, cool. 2.
Okay.
Go.
Another one is I don't love when people hum. I don't love it when people hum a lot. Like, or when people. Okay, I'll say this. Wait, let me change it. I don't love it when people like feel the need to feel silence. Like sometimes silence is okay. Does that make sense? Like
yes.
Like I'm a person who like I'm like awkward silence. I feel like is just silence. You know, like we don't need to fill the space all the time.
Got it.
That's actually a big one. Okay.
Okay, cool. That's it?
And or plastic water bottles. Stop that.
Have you seen Seaspiracy?
No. Oh, I haven't yet, but it's on my list.
Watch it.
Yeah.
Watch it. Quickly, 3 random facts that you are either embarrassed to tell anybody or don't care and, that nobody knows. Quickly.
You're really rushing me and asking me these like really hard questions. Okay. I can walk on my toes like that. Like,
I don't think that's healthy to do. I just want to say that.
I don't know. I just like can do it. So I sometimes
just because you can do it doesn't mean it's healthy.
Yeah, I don't do it. I can do it. I'm like generally just like randomly flexible, but like I don't have any purpose for it.
There are dancers over the world, including myself, who are not flexible and who are looking at you sad.
I mean, it's not like amazing, but it's like more than I need sometimes.
Okay.
Okay, that one. I've never had braces.
I don't think that's a random fact, but sure.
Oh my god.
Like, do you secretly listen to Miley Cyrus or Justin Bieber and actually really like them?
Yeah. I actually like Justin Bieber, so
okay.
Don't come at me.
Baby, or like his first single?
Like his
One Less Lonely Girl.
No, like even his last album. Like
I feel like it was too close to purpose.
Yeah, Change, was this called? No, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like background music. Like I'm working and I'm like, okay.
Okay, cool. So maybe that is a random fact or not really?
Random fact.
Just give me one more random fact, quickly.
Okay. I like to sleep with no lights on. I was just looking at the light, and that's what I
don't think that is a random fact. Most people sleep in the dark. I'll let you go. Think about it, and then you can post about it on your story.
I'm not going to. No one asked me any questions ever again.
Best and worst. Okay, I'm going to give you some categories. Best and worst costume you've ever had.
Ooh, worst costume is I just actually don't like badam dresses. Because they've always, like my skirt, badams are like the dress versions of Bharatanatyam costumes. Like,
are you talking about those pleated trousers?
Yeah. But it's like a skirt, it's not the pant. So there's like a skirt version. Multiple times, my skirt has literally like fallen off on stage. Scandalous.
No wonder the classical community is out for you.
It's not my fault.
You're out there doing Bharatanatyam when you should be doing Odissi.
I know. Listen, I'm a pants girl, okay? Just give me pants and it's gonna be fine. Yeah. Best costumes are usually the minimal ones, you know?
Okay. T-shirts.
Or just like things that are not like more than 4 pieces. It's gonna go wrong after 4 pieces.
I'll remember that every time I see a play or something like that.
Yeah.
Best and worst behind the scenes story.
Best behind the scenes story is just when everything goes wrong, but then it ends up going perfectly right.
Oh God, I just love that.
Yeah. That like my last shoot in Dami was like that, where like it felt like everything was going wrong, but then actually everything on the day of like literally worked out and it was great. Worst is when everything just like goes wrong, but usually nothing.
Can I just say you're being very non-specific? I would like specific stories maybe, but feel free.
Okay. I didn't know we had time for that. You're like really rushing.
You don't have to out people, but like feel free to out people.
Okay. Worst shoot. Oh, there's like a lot. Worst shoot. I can't like out people, so I have to be a little non-specific. Sorry, babe.
No, it's okay.
Well, like I had a shoot that I had to learn 20 minutes of choreography in 2 weeks and then film it in a one take. In like 2 sets of one take. So actually it was like 2 10-minute pieces. But it had to do it in like this like crazy amount of time. And then had to like do full on like more than 4 pieces of costume. And and the shoot was supposed to be like 3 hours and it ended up being like 7 hours and it was like a nightmare. It was a nightmare.
Not today, hon. Not today.
I couldn't walk the day after. We don't like shoots that do
that. Unless the pay is great.
Unless the pay is great, which was not in this one.
And it's of value.
Yeah. I'm not sure that this one was that, but it was certainly one.
Best and worst advice given to you and taken.
I have, this isn't directly answering your question. I'm so sorry. I have a hard relationship with the advice of just follow your dreams.
Oh, yes.
I don't like that one at all. Like all the celebrities and all the people who are just like, just follow your dreams. I'm like, shut up.
Follow your bliss.
Like, shut up. There's a real world out here. So I don't like it when anyone tells me that. It's like, no, there's a lot of planning and, you know, like we have to try really hard, but
yeah,
just follow your dreams. Like, just kind of pisses me off. The best advice is, you have to let me think more about these, but like, I'll just give a kind of shitty one right now because you're putting me on the spot.
Listen, I'm trying to get this. We're going on 3 hours now, which again,
you're the one
I'm
asking me questions. Like, I'm not.
I'm so fine with this, but I thought, you know, it's like,
no. You're right. The best advice is drink water, which I'm not following.
Flavored water, maybe.
Yeah, that's like a step up for me, but I just forget.
Okay.
And
have you ever given bad advice? By the way, I'm always intrigued by this.
Probably. Like, who's coming to me if I don't know anything? I'm just figuring this out as I go.
Do you remember giving a bad advice to maybe like a friend when, I don't know, somebody might have asked you like about a relationship problem or like a dance situation?
I should probably do a relationship one because I'm the worst at relationship advice. Like I just live in my own bubble of just being myself. So I'm like, I don't know. Emotions in a romantic situation. I don't know.
I love living vicariously through people's lives now and like giving Seema auntie matchmaking sort of situation.
But I'm like, I'm not certified whatsoever.
I actually take over people's Tinder accounts and actually make them go on dates.
Really? Okay, like you seem like the one. I feel like you're the one. Like you're like, did I give bad advice or was that good advice?
No, I've not had a bad ratio of getting people in relationships and also getting people on dates. Like that's always my mission.
Wow, that's not mine. I'll tell you that one. Not mine.
My mission is for people to be in love.
Oh yeah, I'm like,
it's not really.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, why aren't you hanging out with me? They're like, oh, I have like a relation, like I'm going, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Overrated and underrated. Most, not yours. Most overrated piece of work created, film, theater, or anything, and most underrated.
Oh. Overrated. There's like a lot of that too. I don't know. Honestly, like most.
Care to share a few and not be so politically correct?
Wow. I'm being politically correct. That's so nice of you to say.
Listen, some people, like I had a theater practitioner here and she said Cats, the musical, or any West End Broadway situation, she just wasn't a fan of.
I'm like just not even into any of that much, which,
okay.
You know, I would say like most Bollywood stuff is really overrated. I think like all of them, if you may. Not probably all. Okay, Lagan is still my favorite. For sure.
I watched Lagan the other day. I still cannot get over, like, it just brought back white supremacy for me a little bit, and I was in that phase. Right. And then secondly, every time I think of Lagan, I think of my heart.
Oh, which is the worst part in the whole thing, and you're so right.
I'm in love.
That is so cringe. Oh my god. Okay, hilarious.
Also, can we just talk about the discrepancies in that entire movie? When Amir Khan and the people go to visit her, she calls the guy over to translate, and it's not like he's even being utilized because they're talking to him and they're having a conversation back and forth, and he never speaks in English that much. He always speaks in Hindi. What is the point of him?
Not putting it up there for politically and like socially like okay at all.
It's just continuity. Come on, you guys.
Like basic storytelling, like stuff. Yeah, for sure. Also, like Shah Rukh Khan, like, is he that great? Like, he's not that great. I don't know.
I don't rate him, but you know, I get the impact of Shah Rukh Khan in Bollywood. I think I'm just here for like, if Shah Rukh Khan is here in 2021 making movies, Why aren't the female co-stars that he worked with? That's the only thing. Okay, cool. Most underrated.
Are we sorry? Were we talking about specific genre or something? I'm just anything.
No,
right?
anything.
Oh, okay.
Please don't feel be boxed by the Asian community or anything of that sort. It can be a theater piece as well. It can be like, you know, anything.
Fuck. Oh, sorry. I'm not supposed
Is that a piece?
No.
No, you can't. I've sworn like 16 times.
What do I love? In a lot of ways, I really like live in a rock by myself. A lot of things. There's like so many. Okay, I actually still think that MIA is heavily underrated, though.
I think she's controversial. Have you ever watched her documentary?
No, but I need
Good one. You should. Okay, let's get you into some shit. Let's get you into some trouble quickly. Let's finish this segment and move on to the next one, which is a really favorite one of mine. Best and worst, most overrated and underrated choreographer.
Overrated? Matt Stefanina.
Wow.
Sorry, did I just... Okay.
No, I mean, it has nothing to do with me. I just know so many people who worship the ground that he walks on, and I'm sure he's a lovely person. I think it's the perception of him. I think he has done a lot, and like he's grown a lot, but I think maybe it's the perception of him. I get what you mean.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. But
have you met
really
him?
Nice. Like that's, you know. So, and underrated, there are so many talented.
I am gonna ban you from saying the word. There are so many. Just name one.
Okay, I've been a huge fan of this guy who might have come in here for a second. His name is Sangram Mukhopadhyay.
Yeah.
He is phenomenal, based in Kolkata. Like between whacking and ODC and like experimental dance works, I'm just such a huge fan. He is like
oh my God, connect. I love finding hidden gems.
I adore him. I've never met him, but yeah, he's the best.
Last one. Oh, okay. You can choose either between overrated and underrated trend. That can be either dance trend, fashion trend, clothing trend, anything, or overrated and underrated dancer.
Fashion trend. Overrated, like the whole like Adidas thing. The sneaks and stuff. Like the I don't even know. Air Maxes, I guess? No, I don't know what shoes are. I don't really pay attention to these things.
I don't wear shoes. I just walk bare feet.
Honestly, like, yeah, I do. You're right. I do just walk bare feet. Just, like, you know, like the sneaker trends and stuff. Like, I'm over that. Underrated. Bring satchels back. Where'd they go?
They're still around. Like, I have them. I think they're called fanny packs or something now.
No, those are not satchels.
I mean, they're kind of the same.
Satchels evolved into fanny packs nowadays.
Hey.
Also, kurtas. Kurtas like are the best.
Yeah, but you get sweaty and the fabric's itchy. And
no,
then, like,
you're not wearing the right kurtas.
I'm wearing the one that.
We'll go shopping together. How about that one day?
I wear the ones that I can afford.
Yeah, no, we're talking about. We go to India, babe. I'll take you around.
Han, I won't be allowed in India. Firstly, I've had this conversation too many times. Okay. This next section is called "Yeah, but what does it mean?" Okay. I'm gonna show you 5 Instagram video images of you, and it's basically you have to look at it from a blind perspective and just be like, "Wow, what does this picture actually mean?" As opposed to you going into, "Oh, that picture was like when I did this showcase and that showcase."
Oh,
do you know what I mean?
I see.
Okay. Your first image is... Oh, is this an image? This is an image. Go.
Oh. Party. Party girls.
Okay.
I see.
Okay, next one.
Wow, that was really obscure. Why so serious though?
Dough. Are we spelling dough THO or
Yeah.
like dough as in like proper
No,
grammatically?
THO.
Okay, cool.
What is that? Like, what is that heap? Like, what is that heap of just crap?
I am.
There's like,
I'm very,
I don't even know how you process that image. There's so much going
I'm
on.
just like, babe, are you okay? You've been
Yeah.
awfully trying to stare at that piece of grass for too long.
Yeah. Like, what did the grass do to you?
Is everything okay, babe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yikes.
Yikes.
Pissed.
How many hands does she have?
Yeah. She looks like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yikes. Okay, last one. Oh, there we go.
Oh my god. Who are they looking at? And
Okay,
what face
cool.
are they making back?
I thought this was genius. The next section is called Boom Cack for Your Life. I'm going to show you 3 videos of some of the incredible repertoire that you have had as a dancer.
Oh my god.
And I'm going to stop in the middle and you have to create or do the next 8 counts.
Oh shoot, I'm going to be really bad at this. I never remember anything that I make.
You must do. You must do.
No way. Oh, so that means I have to get up, right?
Yep.
All right.
Are you ready?
No, but like, you're really just doing it anyways.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. What do I do? Oh, wait, no, I have to see. Okay. Oh.
Oh, I gave you an easy section. This is an easy
this is
section.
literally like repeats over and over again. So.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, wait, let me find a better section in this.
Okay.
Because that section goes on for a little bit.
Yeah.
You guys go to the corner as well. Okay, hold on.
Wow, we really found that. Oh, you got that from Territory. Got it. Oh, shoot.
Okay, let's stop at baba boom.
Okay, I think it goes baba boom. Da 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 da. There's like a chest. I think maybe there's like another chest, and then there's like another. It's like a ta te te ta.
Okay, let's do an 8 count of what you just did. So there's a what? So we did baba boom. So
baba
boom.
It goes a right hand. It goes a right hand, and I step out. You can't even see my feet, but it goes like a 1.
1, 2,
3, 4. I think there's another 5.
5, 6, 7,
8. I think there's like a 1. I think there's a look. 3, 4, and then I think there's a 5, 6. I think we like move somewhere else.
I'm intrigued to know. Do you teach sonically or do you teach numerically?
I switch between. I think I start.
Or do you teach sound, like in terms of actual sound things?
I think I do counts and I go to sounds.
Got it.
If
Okay,
I
let's
know
see.
the counts. Oh wait.
Oh no, I went too back.
They do it. I don't know if that's right.
I went too far back.
Oh no.
I lost it.
Oh no. It's a really long one, so.
Okay, there we go. Ah!
Yeah. Oh, I went
Yay!
like there we go.
I need to clean my
I have a better
iPad.
idea.
Yeah, there we go.
It's like a ta te te ta. Yeah. That.
Oh, no,
okay,
you got that bit wrong.
Yeah,
okay.
and then faster. Yeah.
You gave me an 8 count. I'm proud of you for that. I really am proud of you for that.
I'm proud of me.
Screw you. I'm proud of me.
I'm proud of me.
Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay.
You know this is Vikas and Ramita? Oh, I don't know.
Okay, let's stop at knee. So
There's no way. I have no idea. Okay, it goes no, or something like that.
Jump into figure 4.
Turn. Jump 2. Maybe it's like something like a kick, and then 1. I think it's like a fasten, and then something like a wanted you. I think like maybe something like that.
Okay, cool. Let's see.
That's Rummy's choreography. Okay, see, there's like that whole thing. Oh, shoot.
No!
Turn,
No! Oh,
turn,
turn!
jump.
We did it.
Then
Yes!
a kick.
Yes!
Something like, okay. Yeah,
I'm
see
proud
that
of
little
you.
like, I like remember sounds though. Like I remember when people like what textures and stuff they were going for.
I'm really proud of you right now. I'm very
That
proud
was
of you. You're
hella obscure.
nobody usually does good at this. Okay.
Okay, good job.
Ready?
Yeah. Oh my god. Oh god. You know this isn't the actual music.
No, I do know that. I thought it was very well done though, even if this isn't the actual track.
Me and Derek choreographed this for our hip hop set.
Let's stop at walk walk after that.
Oh shoot, we did.
And then walk walk walk.
Oh no, I have no idea.
You can do it.
Oh, was it like something like a partnery kind of thing? Like we did like a.
Why are you asking me?
Honestly, you know more than me. You watched it the most recent.
I watched it once, to be honest with you. This one, I watch the other ones more often.
Yeah. Oh no, that wasn't on top of your list of like top choreography.
No, it's not that. It's not that. That's not...
We did. I have to remember the original song. This is the original one. I don't know. I think there's some like.
And a
crazy,
5,
like,
6, 7, 8.
Oh, we do some like crazy like turn like that. We do. Yeah. I don't know what it is.
Okay, let's quickly do this.
Yeah.
No!
Oh,
okay,
so
you were right.
wrong.
It was partner work.
I totally forgot about this section. Oh, and I ride Derek. Oh my god. Yes. And then I do a little flip-a-doo. Right. I don't even know what I was talking about. I was so wrong. I totally forgot these.
I would love it if this was set to Mean Girls, Jingle Bell, Jingle Bell, Jingle Bell.
That would have been better. I think the original music got like taken down for copyright. I think it's like a Caravan Palace song.
No worries. All right. You have to stay up for this next section. You have a beautiful plethora of dances. I would like you to give each one of them a dance pose that represents them. I want you to do your best mixture. Should we go for a specific style or should we keep it open?
Open.
No, I was thinking like very much set in a Bharatanatyam way.
Oh.
I feel like that's.
I could do Bharatanatyam. No, I could do.
Yeah, but I feel like that's boxing you. So I think let's go for every other pose other than Bharatanatyam. But it has to be dance. Okay, it has to be dance. A dance pose. The first name, I am so sorry. I apologize to this person. Is it Andrea?
Oh, Andre.
Andre.
Yeah, Andre. Honestly, he's always kind of like a.
Okay, cool,
like
beautiful.
Yeah.
Sangeeta, who, by the way, Sangeeta, if you ever watch this or if you meet her in the next time, I like her bone structure. I like the fact that she cut up all the hair, but I do miss the long hair. And I wonder how the first day was for you sleeping. You know, when you get like a haircut and then you wake up and you're like, shit, it's not there anymore.
Yeah. Oh my God, she has such gorgeous hair. She's awesome and she's beautiful and she's model. She's always okay, cool. She's like, she's always like, she's like.
Okay, cool. Next up is the guy who's no longer in the company anymore because we've let him go.
We cut him off. Derek.
Yeah, just
okay.
Derek.
Derek's like coming at you with some like, kind of like that.
Okay.
Stuff. He's kind of like that.
Can I say I am very much here for the delicacy of Derek when he does this.
I know, it's so very carefully.
It's so careful,
gorgeous.
but his face is such a contrast because if you watch his face, it's so focused. Like the delicacy of his hand does not match.
He's like
the focusedness.
yeah.
Okay, cool.
Right.
The next person is Hannah, and I would like to know what recent hair color she has because she does switch up a little bit.
She's a full red now. Like a
okay,
full
cool.
ginger red.
It's no longer the pink situation.
No. She changes it like every month or two.
Hannah, how you have managed to continue to keep your locks?
Yeah. Girl, she's got it still. Give it up for Hannah.
Give it up for Hannah.
Hannah's like, she's got like a flannel, right? I'm also doing costume, right? Like she's got like a little jacket and she's going like, going like a, you know,
okay.
Like.
Next up is Raylene.
Okay, Raylene, she gets a B-Nat one because that girl, she's always like, even when she doesn't need to be, she's like,
she just gets into it.
She's like,
well, when like you guys are like at the club and you guys like group picture, she'll be like. Next up is Lex.
Okay, Lex is a little newer, so she's not in the like, she's working her way around the B-Nat stuff. So she's really like, she's always giving me hip hop. She's really like, she's like kneeled down, but I can't do. You're not gonna see me right now. She's kind of like a, you know.
Natasha.
Okay, Tosh. Tosh is like a, she's always like a knee. She's like a knee pop.
Oh, I love a knee pop.
She's like a butt, and she's like a knee pop.
Oh, that's me. That's me all day long. Tash, we know. I don't know if this is the actual person's name, but the Instagram handle was Young Ray. Is it Ray?
Oh, that's Raylene. You said her already.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Vanessa.
Miss Vanessa. She's gorgeous. She's got her point. She's like, you know. She's like,
okay.
She's like, he's up there.
Kevin.
Oh, K-Dap. He's a Mr. Martial Arts, so he's always like, go. He's like, you know.
Victor.
Varick. Okay, he's like a little sassy. He's kind of like here. Otherwise, he's like excuse me.
I'm here for that. Thank you. Now, is it Jar Jar or Bo who usually wears a hat a lot?
Bo wears a hat.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, Gerald hasn't danced with us in a while, but
okay.
Bo's wearing a hat.
Gerald, thanks for coming. Bye.
We miss you. Bo's got a jacket and it's over his shoulder, and he's like.
Okay. Do you want to give Jay a little shout out and a pose or not really?
Oh, Gerald? He's
Just be like, not really.
I don't think I know Gerald's pose. Gerald's like, I don't want to take a photo. That's his pose.
And last up, Paco.
Mr. Light Feet. He's got some feet. You can't see my feet, but he's got some like feet. He's got some like twists. He's got some like crazy foot thing going on.
Got it. And lastly, I don't think I've missed anybody, but if I have, I'm so sorry. You just weren't tagged in a lot of the pictures then.
Yeah.
It's just you then. So what's your dance pose?
Oh, I'm like, usually I can come with you at like a back bend. I'm usually
okay.
Like a, you know.
Love it. All right, this is your final round. This is dance, but make it Bharatanatyam.
Dance, but make it Bharatanatyam.
I'm going to give you different dance styles, and you have to incorporate them, but make it Bharatanatyam.
Okay.
Okay? I'm going to play you a song that introduced me to the world of Bharatanatyam.
Okay.
And hopefully you know it, and if you don't know it, I just go with it. Just roll with it.
My first language isn't fully Bharatanatyam, so we'll see how we do.
If you don't like the song, I do have another option.
Oh, it's like going on right now. Like this is it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Ready? So you're going straight now.
All right. Your first dance style is Samba, but make it Bharatanatyam.
What is it? Oh, samba?
But make it Bharatanatyam.
Oh my god, I can't even though.
Come on, come on.
We're giving like a...
There you go. There you go. Next up is Vogue, but make it Bharatanatyam.
Oh, I just went into Vogue. Okay. Yeah, so we've got like a...
Beautiful. Are we giving old way or new way? New way or old way? Old way. New way. Ballet, but make it Bharatanatyam. This should be a challenge for you because ballet is very up and Bharatanatyam is grounded. Beautiful, beautiful. Now, Bhangra, but make it Bharatanatyam. I'm here for it. All right. K-pop, but make it Bharatanatyam.
K-pop is like a trying to be hip-hop though, no?
It is, yeah. Come on. Whacking, but make it Bharatanatyam.
Oh, I suck at whacking.
It's just... There you go. Do a nice little demi-plie and that'll be it. There you go. Tutting, but make it Bharatanatyam.
Ooh, I suck at that. Okay.
You're really selling yourself. That's beautiful. Look at that work. Look at those mudras. Look at them. Okay. Contemporary, but I want some Wayne McGregor, Alvin Ailey contemporary, Graham contemporary, not lyrical contemporary. I want like obscure contemporary, but make it Bharatanatyam. There we go. There we go. More awkward. More awkward. Awkward. Everything should be awkward. There you go. There you go. Do some floor work, even though we can't see it. I'm joking.
I feel like I'm doing the most right now.
Last one. Ballroom, but make it Bharatanatyam. Beautiful. Beautiful. Hey. And now freestyle Bharatanatyam. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Can't do that. I mean, like, I certainly did the best I possibly could.
I think you did great, and that's what I love doing. I literally love doing that. That's one of my favorite things to do with people. When they have like a certain style, I love doing that with people because it literally throws them off their boat sometimes. Well done. That was really good.
Wow,
that was really good.
Watched that, so great.
There's 6 people who watched that, so well done to you 6 people who stayed on.
Don't share that with anyone else.
It's going to be shared on IGTV. All right, quick little 4 questions, and then that's it. I'm going to let you go. And I think you're holding the longest Instagram live I've ever done right now.
Oh, no.
It's been over 3 hours. What words of wisdom would you give to your mirror self today?
Just keep doing it.
Just keep doing it. Not stolen from Nike. Just keep doing it. Peaks and valleys. Peaks and valleys is a question I ask all of my guests. Peak is a highest point of your personal and professional life. What was it? What lesson you learned from it? Same with the valleys. Valley is a low point of your personal or professional life. What was it? What lesson you learned from it? If you don't want to be specific, it is absolutely fine. However, if you'd like to be, feel free to be.
Mm-hmm. Highlight would be performing at Lincoln Center with Image. That was like a moment where I was like, wow, we have a breath, like we can get anywhere. Like anyone can understand this. Like the audience energy, and it was like very diverse of like where we had been performing. Like in the past, we had a lot of performances that year, and then that one was like coming back home to like mixed generation South Asian. Like it was like that was a proud moment for me. Lowest valley would probably be that when I quit med school, and the like existential crises that came with that as an artist as well. It's like a lot of like reckoning.
What did that teach you in that time of frame?
That I have an inner gut and that it's right.
Got it.
And it took a while to find that gut and like trust it. But that was a moment where I was like, no, it's there. And it has value.
What does the future hold for you as just an overall creative, artistic person as well? You know, sometimes when you talk to, I think, like directors or actors or dancers or musicians, it's always like, I want to play this gig, or I want to get to a space where I can be able to earn a living, or, you know, have X, Y, and Z. What do you think would be the gift for you? And yeah, what does the future hold for you and Image?
I think that I'm looking to step more into purely directorial, directing roles. I think branching from, again, where like I'm walking towards, it's not just dance world, but like performing arts, like movement direction kind of space, and like transcending all the borders that come around those things. But I always see Image as being the core of what I do and the foundation of like my exploration. So there we go. I like love to do the like, you know, touring like our own like evening length shows, but I'd also like be in the commercial, like creating like, you know, really engaging like short film kind of concepts and stuff like that. So all of it. The world is big.
Oh, love it. Love it. And lastly, to end this, what's your favorite type of job?
Ginger job.
Samesies.
Cute. That's what I got.
Samesies. I put a little bit of ginger, put a little bit of hot water, and that's that.
That's it, baby.
Thank you so much. I cannot say how thankful I am. And you probably get a voice note after me, like I do with every single guest, thanking them. And I always say this, people don't have to respond. You don't have to respond. But the fact that you picked up, I am very, very grateful for this. It's been so nice talking to you. And I hope we get to meet soon, and I hope we continue talking.
Yeah,
because you know, sometimes
have so much to learn about you. Oh my god, I'm dying to know.
Han, it's an open door from me. I keep in touch. You know, give me a shout anytime. I'm more than happy to talk about life or anything if you'd like to.
I know where you're at.
I'm in London.
Well, okay, I got that much. Noted.
But no, seriously, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate this. Guys, make sure to go and follow Ishita. Go follow Image Dance. Spread the word of just, you know, support your people, man. Support the people in the South Asian community whose people tell us all the time we just can't make it, and like, you know, there's already things that we're dealing with personally, and then to deal with the South Asian stigma and then the industry stigma. Just support us, man. We need love, we need nurture, and we can all agree to disagree, but just like spread the word. We
need community.
We do need community.
Major time.
Yeah, and we don't need egos. Okay. But it's difficult because we work in an industry where you can't have any egos, even we are. But yeah, thank you so much. Go check out Image Dance. Make sure to spread the word about Image Dance. If you have a gig, if you want to do anything, include them in it, other than Bollywood, because they're not about that life.
Not really.
But you know, if you want to talk about like actual work and see where they're heading, do you do sponsorships? Like, do you have a page where people can donate to you?
We're working on that. So if that's something that you're passionate about, check in with me.
There you go.
Really resonate with our stuff. We're building the infrastructure right now.
Boom. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This is so
Next week we have Brinda, and hopefully that goes through.
She's busy.
She is busy. That's why, you know, when people confirm it, then I'm always like waiting on things. Like even you were like a little bit late on messaging,
it comes
and
from
I'm
a place
always
of
like,
love. She's literally doing the most.
I so agree with that, and I'm so thankful that people do this. But I'm just always like so cautious. So hopefully it'll be Brinda next week. But if not, you can catch me every Thursday, 7 p.m. I'll put this on my IGTV. Thanks so much again. Thank you to everybody.
So incredible. I so appreciate you doing this and bringing me on. Oh my God, what an honor. Humble.
Oh my God, stop. I fangirled a little bit, so, you know.
Oh.
Anytime. Cannot wait to see you in London or the US.
Yes,
you know?
it will happen. We're going to make it happen.
It will happen. We're going to make it happen. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.